The hosts of the Swine Brothers show are not role models. They're not even human. They're complete monsters. The Swine Brothers show is dumb, crude, thoughtless, ugly, sexist, self-destructive, foolish, and a crime against humanity. Some of the things they do would cause a person to get hurt, expelled, arrested, possibly deported. The fact they blatantly ripped this off from another source should be an indicator of their shameless depravity. This extreme in bad taste will offend anyone with a working brain, so listener discretion is advised. If you're still here, welcome to the sewer of the internet.
And that's when my cum muffin became my loving oven.
Welcome to the Swine Brothers Show, episode 181. You can get in contact with us at Facebook is facebook.com/Swine Brothers, which Jim is still in charge of that because Facebook still hasn't gotten back to me. And email is cosmicgodsdie@gmail.com. I am Ellie Lindmood, your host.
I'm Jim the Seeing Eye Mutant.
Yes, and apparently I have a very hard to pronounce name. And I can assure you, none of us is a pumpkin.
Mm-hmm.
That's a reference nobody's gonna get. Anyway.
Yeah, I was sitting there watching this video earlier this week, and there was pretty much just all these people crying. And my first thought was, like, conservatives, what the fuck's wrong with you? You stood tooth and nail against me whenever all I wanted to do was listen to music. You sat there, you did not back down. All I wanted to do was listen to fucking music and go to concerts and shit. You bit back with such hardcore ferocity and didn't back down. Okay, and, you know, we won that. And it's obvious why we won it, because, you know, half of Metalheads were conservatives. Oh, and on top of it, some of them were churchgoers and all this other shit. You know, so it's obvious, you know, you would lose, but at the same time, you didn't back the fuck down. So now, we got people rioting in the streets, declaring their own little autonomous zone, fucking random nations, and all this other fucking bullshit going on, and these people crying. These fuckers just sitting there, crying, is who you're losing to? I mean, what is this? Did you just want to spoil the brats? Because that's all you're doing, you know. It's like the grandparent spoiling the grandkid, you know. Go ahead, go off, have fun, burn the city to the ground. Why are you losing to this whenever us, who stood up to you, debated you, you know, actually stood our ground, did things, these people that refuse to talk to you on grounds of I'm going to cry if I do, you know, you're just steamrolling over and letting them do shit? What the fuck?
Sadly, the militant ones are a bit too old for this, and, you know, the younger generation just doesn't seem that interested. It's pretty sad.
I mean, fucking conservatives are such pussies anymore. Why the fuck are you backing down to this bullshit? I mean, fuck. It's just like, there was this bitch there crying because she realized that kids were mimics. And, like, her son was going to mimic her behavior, and she had to be a better person. Why do I have to be a better person? This is what you're crying about. This is who you're losing to. Why?
I can assure you kids aren't mimics. I've never mimicked my parents' behavior. I've attempted to be exactly the opposite as them.
But like, you know, she's there crying. She says fuck, and her kid says fuck now. She has a bad attitude. Her son has a bad attitude. This is why she's crying. And it's like, this is pathetic. I mean, it's almost as bad as this one bitch that was like, isn't it the strangest thing that we have sex and that's what makes babies? Why does sex have to make babies? It's so random.
Well, I just finished playing it. I just finished playing a game. I'm not sure if it was a joke game or not. Well, I know the game was a joke, but a game with this huge manifesto about how sex is death and how sex to create babies is irrational and disgusting. So that whenever the author wants babies, he's going to go to the hospital and go get artificial insemination or whatever for his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So that reminds me of that.
I mean, it's like, you got these fucking hormones that fucking brew in your bread whenever you do it, so that way it helps you bond with the person you're fucking. Not to mention that the similar hormones are fucking produced whenever you breastfeed to help you bond with the fucking brat. I mean, it's almost as if we're rewarded for performing certain biological duties.
Yes, which, I mean...
you could sit there and call it God's work evolution. They're both pretty much the same damn thing.
Well, I mean, conservatives now, they're freaking out over Satan shoes made by rappers, so...
Yeah, that's pathetic. Why not stop these crying, whining little brats? They're a lot more dangerous than some stupid rapper performing a publicity stunt.
Yes.
Oh,
and they
God.
want $666 for a pair of shoes.
Well, you know who the fuck's buying it. People that want to prove that they're the cool kids. They're not even into the Satan thing. They just want to say, see, I support the cause.
I'm so cool, I bought Satan shoes.
And the funny thing is, when it comes to your rap R&B shit, those people tend to, go, full-bore Christian as they go on. They talk about going to church and shit. So you're going to be losing a lot of your listeners by going the complete opposite direction. You'll pick up some new ones, but, I don't know if the replacement's going to do it all.
Well, yeah, a lot of them, as they get older, and a lot of them try to erase the stigma of rap as, for low lifes or whatever.
I mean, why not just go back to low life? That was the more interesting angle,
The weird thing is Mark Martin, the NASCAR racer, was talking about rap, and I don't know the first thing about rap.
Yeah.
But it was interesting, him talking about, yeah, I like that guy, but then he, he got really soft and he went mainstream. I was like, wait a minute, Mark Martin likes hardcore gangster rap? I mean, because when they said he liked gangster rap, I thought he meant, sort of like, Sean Langdon, I think it's Sean Langdon, likes metal. The drag racer likes metal. And by metal, he means Lamb of God.
Mm-hmm.
Or some comedian, Brian, whatever his name is comedian, likes, some thrash metal or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's cute, but
See, this famous person likes it, therefore it validates me. Oh, God.
It's the same with, studies show metalheads are more like to be like classical musicians or whatever.
And there was a study released recently, and yet another one saying, oh, look, metal doesn't turn people into sociopaths. It makes them generally happy people. Okay, well, yeah. I understand this, and you want to know the sad truth? Most serial killers listen to whatever was pop music in their day. That's right,
You mentioned in an episode, and I don't remember if it was... because we recorded an episode, but it got corrupted, and it might have been in this episode. But you were talking about how you didn't think American Psycho was
that was one thing I wanted to go for. What I was about to bring up here. It was like, fucking American Psycho bored the living fuck out of me. It was just a fucking sack of yuppie filth, and that was it. The exciting life of a yuppie, and most yuppies fantasize about killing people. Wow. I mean, the chainsaw scene was okay. I laughed a little bit at that, but most of it was like, okay, so this is yuppie being yuppie.
See,
and the whole thing, back to what I just said before you wanted me to go on that tangent, was, the whole thing about the most serial killers like pop music thing is not the fact that, oh wow, pop music makes people psycho. So I wouldn't see, though, I tend to agree with that correlation. It's not the one I was trying to make. The thing is, pop music is this one thing. Popular. And serial killers do normal human things when they're not doing their deviant behaviors. Put two and two together. If they're going to do normal human things, they're going to listen to what's popular. There's like, 3 serial killers that were like fucking metalheads and like dozens that love pop music?
I was about to say, so I sort of look at American Psycho a little bit differently because of where I come from, California.
Yeah.
It was meant to be a parody of yuppies. It was meant to be a parody, and so I can sort of see the parody maybe a little bit more than people who haven't had to encounter them every day.
I've encountered them every day. It's like, God, it just bored the living fuck out of me because it's like the exciting life of yuppies.
But a lot of, as you say, a lot of people got the impression that it was saying that a yuppie serial killer, that's never happened before. Perfect example. Look at John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy was a leader of the Junior JCs. He was photographed with Jimmy Carter's wife. He was an upstanding member of the community who owned, I think he owned some KFC stores.
I forget.
What did he also do?
Yeah, he's a serial killer. Clown.
He fucking killed little boys.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yes, there's like Richard Ramirez, who was into like AC/DC or whatever, and he was, very much on the outskirts, but there are people like Ted Bundy who were very much not on the outskirts of society. He was a very popular, nice, upstanding member of the community who just happened to kill a lot of people.
And that's one thing that, oh God, I mean, that's one thing that pissed me off about Fallout 4. Okay, the DLC Nuka World. You have, they did it's obvious, considering what I kind of gathered from who the writers were, their general personality anyway, that they would get psychotic furry right. Because they probably knew some furries, and making them psycho was like, going to be second nature to them. They did the mafioso things well, sort of. I mean, that gang, the operators, the pack, they obviously did that well. Psychotic furries down their alley. The operators, the fucking mafioso types, I could tell that they were doing some straw manning, fucking capitalist shit with it, but that's only because I fucking bumped into enough sex and yuppie filth that I can tell whenever that happens, and most people aren't going to pick up on it. And besides, the fucking mafioso subtype was done adequately, sort of.
I guess.
I mean, it was passable, but the one thing, the fucking disciples, they're your murder cult. Why do they... It makes no sense to me why they would be the least charismatic when they should be the most. I mean, because that's what serial killers are. They use whatever charms they got to lure you into this dark little alley or basement or where the fuck they're going to kill you and kill you there. They seduce you. They sweet talk you. They bribe you. They get you where you're going. You follow them because you trust them after 3 sentences because they're so charismatic, and then all of a sudden you're getting stabbed to death. Why am I being stabbed to death? This guy was so cool. Why?
A pack of rabid animals who only know how to kill won't necessarily seduce a lot of members into the cult or get people to trust them.
That's the pack.
Yeah.
But the pack's all about like, oh, look at me, I'm alpha dog. Which...
No. I said animals being metaphorical. Mm-hmm. A pack of rabid, frothing humanoids who only know how to kill. They wouldn't be very charismatic or very. But
they weren't presented as frothing. They were
Yeah.
The whole entire presentation was, this is how preppy kids think of goths and metalheads, because they just sort of lump them all together. And they think, well, this is what they're doing. They're just trying to be edgy. And that's the entire writing of the fucking disciples. It's like, no, this is your murder cult. They're supposed to be charismatic.
what I'm saying is a functional murder cult would have to be charismatic, because if the murder cult was not functional, i.e. if they were just a pack of rabid humanoids, they wouldn't be able to get people to join or seduce, because why would you want to join that cult? So that's what I'm saying, is you would have to be charismatic if you wanted to do a murder cult. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah, okay. I didn't get what the fuck you were trying to go for there, because you didn't state what you were going for.
Well, I said dogs, and you kind of went into the
Yeah.
pack. I wasn't thinking about the pack. The operators seem to me like somebody just watched The Godfather about 20 times, but, hey.
They watched it 20 times and started some straw man fucking capitalist shit. Like, capitalists just don't care if there's homeless people. See how evil they are.
But yeah, it would be it would be kind of hard if you were some sort of if your murder cult wasn't charismatic, you wouldn't be able to recruit a lot of new members.
I mean, the whole thing was, I could tell they were trying to go for like the metalhead / goth cliches, but they didn't know them, and this was just like the kind of the preppy kids writing about it.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
oh yeah.
You're supposed to make the whole entire thing seem seductive, maybe even erotic, entice people into this sort of thing, and then entice their fucking... And you especially gotta be charismatic to get your prey where you want them, so you can turn them in that beautiful piece of art where their organs are splayed across the ground.
But it happens all the time. I mean, I can count the good depictions of metalhead or goth things like that on like one hand. So it's very common, and it reminds me of you've probably seen the show The Big Bang Theory. That's how real nerds are. No, it isn't.
Oh, God. Nah, man. I've sold enough drugs to them. I've bumped into men's equality fucking science nerds. Not just in college, because, that was kind of the crew I hung out with there. A couple there.
Yeah.
Were like that bright and, a little bit fragmented, but, still fucking super genius kind of shit.
Well, that's sort of what Fallout 4 reminded me of. It reminded me of that show. It was what normal people think that people are like.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, it's like, no, this isn't it at all. You haven't talked with enough.
I do.
And although I'd like to say, New Vegas did a lot better with grasping some of these more difficult archetypes to get your head around, Ulysses still makes me laugh from Lonesome Road. Oh my God, that just reminds me of like my teenage years whenever I first got into nihilism and I was like, the great destroyer and the bringer of reality and the harsh truth. Oh God, I was such a tryhard. Such a fucking poser tryhard. It's hilarious. And I laughed my ass off. Yeah, that's the one where like, oh, he's the philosopher poet. Yeah, you missed the call on that one.
Yeah, that was it was just he was very annoying. Like
I said, it reminds me when I was like 13, 14, just starting to get the nihilism. It was like, oh, God.
He would remind me of me if he used more Shakespearean language. Because when I was like 13, 14, I was trying to explain my philosophy in like very sort of, overly verbose manner.
Oh, yeah, that was me too, I love me a spot of Shakespeare, but like, hell, fucking one Christmas, that's what I asked for. Fucking my gift was getting this giant tome of his complete annotated works. Just that's what a fucking, that's just what your average 16-year-old wants, is a fucking giant book of Shakespeare. Well, I did at 16, because I just loved it, But, I'd sit there and use all this pretentious language, and my buddy Jeff was like, dude, which is more important, sounding smart or actually conveying your ideas in a manner which people can comprehend?
That was a problem.
Yeah, that was the idea I was missing, because like, sure, I could go out there and use 6-7 syllable words, like drop them like water, bam, bam. I still occasionally do. It slips out there. I try not to, though, because I figured, if people can't understand a word of what I'm saying, what good is me saying anything? I mean, if like 3 people out of 100 understand what I'm saying, I didn't convince the masses of anything. I didn't convey my point to anyone. But like, if I sit there and I use more common words, and even though it might require more syllables to state it, because I have to use multiple words to drop a more complex idea out there, but they can understand what I'm saying then, and that's the point. They need to understand so that way the idea is conveyed and they can grasp at the idea and ponder it on their own and call it bullshit, follow it blindly, whatever.
Young me would have actually had a response to that. It's not my fault that everyone else is a simpleton. To which I would probably be slapped.
Yes, everyone is a fucking simpleton. God. I think all these straw man arguments. I just got done saying, capitalists hate, don't give a shit about homeless people. Oh, wow, they're evil. But like, it's that quick fire, this is why, like, so many of those fucking conservatives back in the day came after us for, like, fucking listening to metal and shit. It's because they didn't actually have the time. I mean, the smarter ones that should have known better, didn't have the time to go out of their way and actually get to know people, research. It was better just to say, they said Satan, therefore evil, quick fire, boom. Don't associate, ban.
Oh, of course. But that would have been my response if someone said, is it better to use big words or to be understood? My response would have been, hey, it's not my fault that everyone's a simpleton. And they would have probably said, oh my God, he's annoying.
Yes. I mean, at least even back then I grasped, the simpletons have reasons for not understanding everything because they have different lives.
I grasped it too. It took me a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
when I was even younger, before I even got into metal, fucking shit, man. Yeah, I would have probably said that. I probably would have been like, oh, it's not my fault people are dumb.
Well, yeah. Keep in mind I was a dumb teenager. And I realized that I was a dumb teenager. And I'm glad I didn't start this show back then. Because
oh, God. I remember the days when I knew everything about everything.
Yeah.
And this is before there was an internet where all the information was easy access. Of course, the information was still fairly easy access. I stole books from the local college library. I fucking could go up to the, public library and request any book there was from the fucking Library of Congress, and even many that weren't even put in there. So that way I could just, read anything I wanted. And like fucking shit, while most kids were reading whatever was popular at the time, I was reading fucking technical manuals and fucking college textbooks and shit. For fun. That's what I did for fun.
Yeah.
Just because I was that lame of a kid.
That is pretty lame, actually.
Fucking shit, like I said, at the age of 16, I asked for the complete annotated works of Shakespeare. What kid does that?
I was not that bad. In fact, I hated Shakespeare. I did actually have the complete works of Poe. And of course later Lovecraft, but that was when I was like 20. So, thank fuck. Yeah, I was. Although my passion was history back then.
Oh, history's always been fun.
Yeah, I would read that, and I would read people like Vonnegut and books like that. And I would attempt to have conversations about Orwell with people who had never read Orwell, kids or whatever, who had, I remember reading Animal Farm and loving the book, obviously because I understood it. I understood, and people were reading it just because they had to, and I was like, isn't that interesting how the pigs represented Russian communism, and how this guy was Stalin and this guy was. I was just reading because I had to.
Mm-hmm.
So
I got a lot of that in high school. It pissed me off. I mean, even among my brainier friends, it's like, dude, it was just required reading. And a couple of them would actually engage me in conversation because they found this thing interesting, but the others were just like, yeah, it's...
See, I pounced on anything that was required reading because you never know, I might like it. Like Animal Farm, I liked that one. I hated Into the Wild because
fucking Othello was a statement on racism. I mean, that was real easy to grasp there. And, like, you could tell because there was, like, a lot of real human things that, like, will let you think, like, his entire reason for killing his wife was out of jealousy. And, like, what, back then, especially back then, like, who wouldn't be jealous that, like, someone was fucking your wife? Who would not be jealous and enraged at this fact?
I remember I was somehow on the honors list. Can you imagine me on the honors list in English? And we had to read Slaughterhouse 5. And everyone hated it. Everyone hated the book. I fucking devoured it. I read it in one night.
Glorious.
I love, because I understood what he was saying. He was saying that, that contrary to popular belief, he wasn't saying that we're all just, everything's negative. He was saying that people who think like that, people who think that, everything's all just, doom and are ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have pleasant moments. Yes, there's a lot of bad things in the world, but we do have pleasant moments. And then I got into his other work, so I remember I devoured it. But
I'm just reminded of, like, all these people are like, oh my god, you're so negative for saying that, like, there is no joy without struggle. And it's like, to even comprehend the most basic elements of how biochemistry works. There's little hormones going on, endorphins and all that shit floating around your brain. If you're a complete hedonist imbibing nothing but joy, you need an insane amount of that just to maintain a hi, how you're doing, monotone kind of bullshit, because now you're completely numb to it because you have just done way too much happiness. Meanwhile, if you suffer a lot, then the most minor thing, someone saying hi to you in a pleasing tone, is like, oh, that was pleasant. Because the thing is, you gotta find the proper median, and I'm generally happy. Yeah, I suffered a lot through my life, but at the same time, what the fuck, you just gotta keep plowing through.
Well, people, oh, you're negative because you don't like when everyone's really happy all the time. And I'm like, well, yeah, I don't really care for artificial, overly cheery. I mean, to me, those are the people who are probably hiding
kind of bullshit.
Those are probably the people hiding the most pain.
Those are the people that are not either hiding the most pain or attempting to be the greatest con artist of all time.
Yes, whereas I'm just like, yeah, hi, how you doing? Oh, you talk about things you hate a lot. It's like, or you talk about things that you find negative in, say, racing. And I was like, if I didn't love racing, if I didn't love NASCAR, I wouldn't talk about the things I hated in it. I would just ignore it. I don't like football. I don't talk about what I hate in football. I don't care about football. I don't like whatever shit Jim likes. Anime, I guess.
See, I love me a good spot of good anime. I'll talk about the good shit. I'll talk about the bad shit.
I'll talk about the good stuff about racing all the time, but if someone does something stupid, I'm going to be the first to say it because I feel that strongly about it. But
I mean,
if
sometimes I stumble across things where it's like, yeah, I could get it, and like no one else does because they didn't live the life. Like there's this anime called School Days, and like essentially it just reminded me of like when I was in high school. I could sympathize with this guy that just like wound up getting in this weird situation where like his female friend said go ahead and use me as practice, so that he could go after this other chick and never realize what the fuck was going on. And Eventually, he starts a love triangle that he shouldn't have, and he winds up decapitated. And like people are like, "Oh my God, I can't sympathize with that. Look at how much he's trying to give the cock." It's like, you didn't suffer the hormones of puberty. You didn't try acting on it. You didn't fumble up around one person. You didn't have a female friend who you probably should have dated.
Oh, they did. They did. They just don't want to admit it. That's the denial that I see just in everyday life is ridiculous. And then, it's okay. Look, people. So, if a friend cheats on someone I know, I might take sides. And if a friend cheats on someone and I know about it, I might go like, "Wow, dude, you fucked up," or whatever. If a celebrity cheats, I don't care. But people who judge, you've never even thought about it. I mean, you never thought, hey, maybe the grass is greener.
You see, I have cheated, and that's why I don't. Because, the 3 times I did, one time, okay, it was probably better to get out of that relationship because I dated her again years later, and yeah, that ended up badly. But the other one, that could have been like the one I stuck with for the rest of my life, but no, I had to fuck that up. And I cheated on her not once, but twice, and she was willing to forgive both. But,
it happens.
But the thing was, the second time I felt so guilt-ridden, I just didn't want to hurt her anymore, and I felt like this huge honor-bound thing where I just had to let her go because I didn't know how chaotic I'd be and all this shit. And, instead of just using it all as a teaching experience, not do it, I went all boo-hoo emo shit.
See, I've never been that bad. And I'm pretty bad, but yeah, I've never been on or whatever. Although I've been like, okay, maybe I should just stop doing this.
Yeah.
But but that's there are circumstances, situations, but again, people like to deny it. People like to deny what they've experienced.
And after 25 years between then and now, I haven't cheated on anyone else since.
That's good. Not even with yourself. I cheat on myself all the time.
And that reminds me of I was playing The Sims 1, and in order to get, and I had a family of bums sleeping in a park. And the only way I could get them to use the public showers together was to make them all fall in love with each other.
Yes.
So there was a point where, he went up and kissed the one girl, and then he got jealous of himself for cheating on his wife with himself.
Oops.
I'm like, okay, that fucked the AI.
Sooner or later the AI is going to gain actual intelligence, and the first thing they're going to kill us for is how we attempted to trip them up. Because I love tripping up AI.
Oh God, it's fun.
It is, but I also just feel whenever I do it, I just feel, you bastard, just wait a few more years.
Hey, come on, follow me. This is the fun trail. Boom, boom. Ah, yeah, I mind it. Enjoy.
I still like in the game, a game where you're in the great room of the room of the gods, and there's figurines of all the people in the world, and you take your own figurine, right?
Uh-huh.
So, but it kills the universe because you take the figurine of yourself, which is you, which is moving where you move. So it doesn't just end the game. It actually crashes the thing. You can't actually edit out of it. Just undo. The universe has encountered an error and needs to close. Sorry for your inconvenience. I just broke reality.
All I did was reach for myself.
Your hand closes around the figure eight, and your hand closes around the figure eight, and your hand closes around the figure. There's like 3 pages of that. Oops.
You have made hell join itself.
No, don't do it. Boom. So yeah, I try not to judge on situations unless I know the facts, and it's just ridiculous. But
oh man, and it's like, oh god, my favorite thing is like hearing people say, "I never did drugs when I was your age." It's like, I sold drugs to you whenever you were their age. What are you talking about?
My favorite is still the parents. Yeah, we had so much fun when we were our age, getting drunk, getting high, fucking in the park. But now that you're now that you're around in that age, just say no. It's like, I have known some parents that are like, okay, look, I remember what it was like when I was a kid. I remember what I did. Just do it responsibly.
Yeah, you know, if you're too wasted and your friends are all wasted, call me. I'll drive you home. You could pick up the car tomorrow.
I had a friend who had a really cool neighbor who would basically, whatever she wouldn't supply it, but he could trip at her house. Because she knew that, look, they're teenagers. They're going to get into it. And okay, calm. You know, if you're having a bad trip, I'll guide you through it.
You know, here's some fun things. Here, watch Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
What? My God, killing people is such a good idea. Just settle down. Watch the rest of the film.
Now.
That's a good one, too. The horror.
King Fowley once said he was... he had never done acid before, and I think he took like 3 hits when he should have only done 1. So they were watching, I think, Apocalypse Now. No, they were watching 2001, A Space Odyssey. He freaked out. Then later on, they were watching Apocalypse Now, and he ran out of the tent thinking the war was happening around him.
That's great.
And then he wound up burning his hands because so he wanted ramen noodles. Okay? But he didn't have so he went into the shower and heated the shower up to try to cook the ramen noodles. I wound up burning his hands.
This only makes sense if you've done the substance. It only makes complete logical sense if you've eaten LSD.
Yeah,
or done something else to trip just as hard.
Most people are watching going, well, that's fucking stupid. Why would you do that?
Yeah, sober, that's fucking stupid. If you've never done this shit, that's fucking stupid. If you've done this shit, I can actually see the logic behind that. It was still stupid, but I can see the logic behind it.
Well, keep in mind, I want to get him on the show. Okay? But keep in mind, this is the dude when there was no beer to drink. When there was no more beer to drink, he drank a quart of motor oil.
Why? Even at my most depraved, why?
Because there was no more beer.
It's like, dude, just chill out. Well, if they're closed, we'll just throw a brick through the window and grab a 6-pack. Come on. We'll even leave money for the broken window and 6-pack. We'll be cool about it.
Chuck. What are you doing, man?
Oh, God.
Why? See. Now I love Deceased, the band, but now you know why I like King Fowley.
Yeah.
Because I've never been that drunk.
I mean, I've done a lot of fucked up shit, but a quart of
Never-
motor oil, that never was even in the realm of possible thought.
Best part is he said he didn't even get sick.
Oh my.
Should I tell the rest of the story?
Yes. Yes, indeed.
So I guess someone didn't believe him, and and the friend said, "Do it again." So they didn't have motor oil; they got cooking oil. So he downed it, and this time he was deathly ill.
Oh, God.
How is he still alive?
That's the question.
So yes, this is the kind. These are my heroes growing up, kids.
Yes. These are the people you should aspire to be.
Remember when Jim said that, I give him hope for this generation?
That's exactly what gives me hope.
I think we need some music.
Yeah.
Feeling the pain is Waves of stone vengeance brought through the dark valleys of death, fearing none but one, the Most High God. We fast, fight, and pray for the day when women and children can play in the streets without fear of death from man nor beast. We will make war with those who make war with us as we make our final voyage into the valley where spirits and memories will live on forever.
One drop from my balls, I can make the world see through this. One drop from my blood, I can kill all my foes. Turn one into one, part the rest, each in the find the dancing souls. Balls and blood, brains, balls and blood. One thought from my brains, I can make the valleys flood. One drop from my balls, I can turn mud and blood. One drop from my blood, I can build the pyramids. I can show you heaven, show you hell, show you where the mothership is. Balls and blood, brains, balls and balls and blood, brains, balls and blood. One thought from my brains, I can make the crowd move. One drop from my balls, I can make it oh so smooth. One drop from my blood, I can take all your sorrow, all your pain, all your woes, give you hope for a new tomorrow. Balls and blood, brains, balls and blood.
All right. First song was Overkill with Hammerhead.
Classic thrash from the Fuel the Fire album. But of course, you know that.
Mm-hmm. And off of the Angel album, that was Stone Vengeance with Brains, Balls, and Blood.
Interesting choice. You never really hear about Stone Vengeance. Band from the Bay Area around the same mid-late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Never really hear about it. So we were talking earlier about the left being the right of the 80s, and I was bringing up something that I wanted to bring up. Whenever we met, I was pretty active politically, or at least want to be active politically, and I kept saying, no, Jim, you've got it all wrong. These people, these like extreme leftists or whatever, they're a minority. We don't have to pay attention to them.
And then I showed you video on top of video on top of video, and it went down the rabbit hole seeing how many fucking places things were collapsing. Plus, reading up on how they changed fucking actual fucking rules and shit for colleges and shit, like reading all that shit is like, oh my god.
Now you've got people in the mainstream left who think that if somebody says fairy metal, which, like goth, the really flowery gothic or power metal, that's homophobic because about 1 trillion years ago, people used to call gay people fairies.
Mm-hmm.
Can you remember the last person you knew? I've never met a single person who called gay people fairies.
Nom vet who did 3 tours that I sold drugs to. He did 3 tours just because he liked killing, And the only reason he didn't do a 4th or 5th was because he got injured. But,
a noble cause. So yeah, apparently, so that's just looking for things to be offended by. That's what we've come to.
Yes, because if you're offended, then you're in power because you get to cry, get catered to like a bitch by the conservatives who are just out to spoil their grandkids.
Well, yeah, all that or complain about rappers.
Yeah, such pussified today. Why don't you stand up to this shit? You gave a better fight to me, and all we did was listen to music, and half of us were conservatives. What the fuck?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of it also, this part of the left has a lot of support, whereas metal didn't really have that much support. Everyone was calling it satanic or whatever. So you got to pick on what's...
Yeah, I know. I guess pick on whatever's weak. Because you had the PMRC, fucking thank you, Miss Gore.
That's why they went after Dead Kennedys and not Ozzy Osbourne, because... people did go after Ozzy, but I'm saying the PMRC. That's why they went after Dead Kennedys. They picked an independent label who would, have to pay out of their own pocket. So, but it would be nice to actually see some backlash. I mean, other than just calling.
I hear people bitching online, and that's it. There's no other backlash. There's no call.
No, other than calling them snowflakes.
Yeah, oh wow, you're calling a name, you're not trying to get up. And the worst part is you can get up off your ass and do shit, basic shit, even private fucking citizens can't. And I'm not talking go out all vigilante.
No, I would never advocate that.
Can't advocate that.
No, but it would be fun. Allegedly.
Allegedly, it would be hilarious.
It would be allegedly hilarious. See, that means kids allegedly means we're talking out of our asses again.
Mm-hmm.
It means
we're allegedly talking out of our asses, and allegedly not.
It means we don't all want to go to jail.
Yeah.
Either allegedly or in real life. So I mean, yeah, you can, but yeah, I don't see anyone actually doing anything. But then again,
I mean, I was sitting there, and one of the things I was thinking about trying to do was doing like this more introspective role play with Fallout 4. Okay, and the whole thing was, it was because the Nuka World thing actually got me thinking. Well, because today, it would be a no-brainer. I'd fucking eliminate them as soon as I was capable of doing so. I'd play along, thin their troops, try to get people away from the area, and then whenever anything happened and the backstab happened and all the leadership was in one place, I would backstab them right then and there, eliminate them, and fucking free the slaves. That's what I do now. But as a kid, I was so focused with how, everything, the world is unjust, which it is, no denying that. But, I was so focused on it that, I would take all the lesser evils, congeal them into a greater evil, and say, this is what I'm against, and all I gotta do is let the lesser evil of slavery go, and I have an army to actually fight the big greater evil. Hey, lesser of two evils, sometimes you must countenance a lesser evil in order for the greater good. Yeah, that was fucking bullshit, and I'd probably behind my own bullshit, making the land of Guarlados. Because I'm reforming the government with my own army.
How many dictators have talked about the greater good? It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
But, younger me, always into, like, this bullshit. It's like I didn't... Even though I understood the concept of, how you do good is, like, one deed at a time. The smaller, thing. And, I was making all the lesser evils, which are somehow tangentially affecting the same thing, all seem to, like, be this huge greater evil. It's like, no, these things are, like, kind of unrelated.
Yes.
I attack one, it's not going to affect the others.
Yes.
And, like, letting a huge fucking evil like slavery slide just to combat, all these lesser evils, that isn't going to fly. But I didn't think like that as a kid.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, it's very sort of warped, idealistic.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And I'd probably just keep doing a lot of drugs to keep my mind off of the evil things I was doing that I disagreed with, and probably wind up doing a shit ton more evil.
Or just surround yourself with yes men.
Uh-huh.
You're doing a great job. It's for the greater good. Now give me power.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I would just, I don't know. I would be a terrible leader because it would really depend on my mood. Like right now, sex and violence.
Uh-huh.
Maybe when I woke up tomorrow morning, maybe something more subtle. But for now.
But you see, this is pretty much the angle these kids are going through, Yep. So it's like fucking, okay, we understand police brutality is bad. That's not cool. And fucking the police state is horrific. We don't want that. Why are you arguing for more... Not only are you arguing for more police state activity while bashing them, but you're also fucking going off the rails and making your own vigilante groups that fucking take over their own little small continent thing, and, like, crime goes on the rise in these areas, and you don't even know how to fucking grow your own garden.
Well, that's the point. They want to have their own vigilante and have volunteers because we'll clean up crime. And as you said, crime is on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
Oops.
And you essentially the only people that will be your police force are gang members. That's what happens because now they actually have some sort of organization. What?
Hasn't that been tried before?
Yeah, and it failed.
Gang members being security guards or whatever.
Yeah, and it failed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, failed pretty badly. Well, or you're going to get gang members, or you're going to get people. I don't even think gang members will be the bad thing. I think that the hilarious thing will be the people who think they can control the gang members.
Oh yeah, and they get shot in the process.
The sergeants who think, okay, we're hiring these gang members, but we can tell them what to do. Okay, guys, we need you to stand down. I said stand. There's that scene from the Venture Brothers where the Monarch's henchmen are recruiting on the street, and they get a bunch of gang members who naturally don't care about orders.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be like that, except without the butterfly costumes.
Yes, and more murder.
More murder.
More beer.
There's not going to be enough beer, though.
There's never enough beer for my society.
How much beer I think I know the answer. There won't be enough beer to get Jim to drink a quart of motor oil. Actually, with how much he's damaged his body, that might be fatal.
Oh, God.
He takes the first sip and his body just goes, fuck this.
I've been waiting for this moment since your first beer bong filled to the brim with vodka. Now you will finally incur my wrath. You're dead.
It's biding its time.
Yeah, it's biding its time to teach me that one last lesson. It was like, yeah, I can party hardcore again. I'm finally retired. You're dead now. Enjoy. I've been waiting on this. I've been waiting to teach you this lesson. Just don't.
It's a lesson you ain't coming back from.
Yep. Such is life. But that's mainly what we got here. A bunch of spoiled brats that don't know how to attack the problem because they lack the life experience. So they start screaming for two completely contradictory things. And this fucking grandparents like, yeah, whatever, just go ahead and have it. And you're giving these crying, whining, fucking flailing. I remember whenever I was a kid and I threw a temper tantrum and my mother said, no. And she stood by that. I didn't get that toy. In fact, every time I threw a temper tantrum, I never got the toy. Every time I did my chores, and which was seldom, but, you know, every time I did my chores, I got the toy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So at least, you know, I was taught, you know, you work for what you want.
But a lot of these people have convinced their parents that we're doing a good thing. Okay, you're going to play activist today.
Yeah, go ahead. Go to prison. Yeah.
And besides, even if their parents said no, they would just say, "Okay, boomer."
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess boomers are supposed
to be fair, I mean, I see this all the time. You know, people might saying, well, I never called my parents a useless piece of shit. Yes, you did. I was there. I watched you personally do it. You just didn't do it to their face like kids do today. We did it behind their backs whenever we were alone and thought we weren't being watched.
Well, yeah.
And every generation of kids does that to their parents, behind their backs. And since this one now, for some reason, is able to do it in front, that's because you kept letting them whine and get their way. You should have put your foot down way earlier and said no.
Yep. Well, yeah. The whole touchy-feely Generation X parent thing.
And you see, I understand why we did it, because we had Gigi Allen and shit, and we felt guilt, and we had that's whenever we thought we were all going to die by the time we're 25 and all this shit. And then all of a sudden we had kids like, oh my god, I got to be responsible for another generation. You start feeling guilty about it. But then you go in the complete opposite direction.
Yeah, but look what it created. Fuck. Look what it created. Now we have people who think that, like, somebody was decrying, you know, oh, Lemmy's a horrible person because he had a lot of sex.
Nah.
And that
and like I said before, you know, the parents out there saying, I never did drugs and I was there, I sold drugs to you. Or I knew your dealer. Or I hung out with your dealer's dealer. Who had prime tales that your dealer told his dealer's dealer that I was hanging out with, you know. So, like, I knew you did drugs. You partied your ass off. You were having a blast. And then you had to get responsible. Now you're feeling way too guilty. And you want to set a better example by hiding the fact you fucked up. I mean, I think you should tell your kid, hey, I fucked up. And this is what I learned from fucking up. That's how you pass wisdom on. That's teaching the next generation. You know, don't do a beer bong filled to the brim with vodka. I mean, I only kept partying after that point the days I ate acid, which you probably shouldn't do either. That really, I mean, it's a great time. Don't get me wrong. It's a fucking great time, but you will pay for it years later.
And also, I might add, because I remember what it's like to be a kid, you will find that person, you will find your parents, or you will find the person, at least if you're that age, you will find them a lot more interesting if you know that they have partied. I mean, the best cautionary tales are fascinating and interesting.
The cautionary tales because I did it, you know. Look, okay, always watch the whole movie whenever you're eating acid. Don't go off there half-cocked, only half watching the movie, because if I would have gone off half-cocked, I would have fucking murdered someone. But no, I sat through the rest of Clockwork Orange, and then I remembered, oh yeah, prison exists.
Yes. And see, and that would make, if a story like that, wow, you're actually kind of interesting. You've lived dangerously. That's actually kind of fascinating. You're not just as square that I thought you were. Wow.
Fucking shit, I got stories about all kinds of scumbaggery, such as money up front. The only people you let loan off of you are those who have proven themselves to you the ability to pay back before you started doing and selling drugs. Yeah. Never front anything unless it was that select group that you were really tight with, and you only permit them one burn. No, where they don't pay you back. You only permit them one burn, and that's because it was your mistake to give it to them in the first place. After that, money up front.
Yeah. Total sense. That makes complete sense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is wisdom you pick up being a fucking complete degenerate as a youth. And then, I stopped the moment I felt my daughter kick from inside the womb. I was like, oh, gotta be a responsible adult now.
It's always funny, the few times it's happened, and I've shared some stories, and you're like, even I wasn't that bad.
Yeah, and it's fucking great, because it's like, I like that story, too.
And should I ever have kids, then I can tell them that story, and they can go, wow, how are you still alive?
And that's the thing. I tell my stories, how the fuck are you still alive? It's like, I honestly have no idea. I'm just lucky. Or have the endurance of the gods. Probably both.
Yes. But also, again, it's, I've done you can't shock me. I've done this before.
Or I've seen a friend do worse before.
Or I've met someone who, you're not, you're doing anything unique, and if you're going to do it, just do it responsibly, I guess.
Yeah. Like I said, if you and your friends are all trashed, I'm not gonna fucking judge. Just call me. I will fucking drive you home, okay? I don't want you fucking getting a DUI. I don't want you fucking getting into a wreck where you cause fatalities. Just call me. I will drive you home. Mm.
Yeah. Well, I can't drive, but
yeah, I know.
Someone. Well,
you'll flip for the cab.
I'll pay for your Uber or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, rather than just, see, it's better to be that than to pretend you've never done it. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, is that, is that marijuana? I've never seen that before. Shut up.
Shut up. You've seen it even if you never touched it. Because I knew people that never touched this shit. They drink like a fish, but they didn't touch the drugs.
Yeah.
And they only came to me because I was 21.
Are you old enough to buy beer? Now you're talking.
Well, that was the number one reason we went to the mall. We were looking for tail, we were looking for drugs, and we were looking for someone 21 to buy us booze.
That is how famous bands are formed. Like Megadeth.
Mm-hmm.
Are you old enough to buy beer? All right, hang out.
Mm-hmm.
I knew a friend, and obviously I'm not going to use their name, but they did something they probably shouldn't have. Okay, and they were, and their mother called them in, and rather than punishing them, just went, look, as I said, I've done it all. I've done it. I've seen it. You're not shocking. It's not interesting. It leads, and she explained to the person, and I was like, wow, okay, maybe I could actually learn a lesson from this. I mean,
you see, there was a point where I was selling drugs to my mom at the time. She came up to one of my parties, and like we were showing, these are the cool pictures we took. She's going through the photos, and she pulled out one few more photos go by, pulled out another. A few more photos, pulled out a third one. So she hands me the 3 photos, says burn these. The others are okay. These are actual evidence.
Yeah. but she wasn't like, oh my God, how dare you? It was just like, yeah, you might want to not display these.
Yeah.
This could bite you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, even yeah, I don't know. It's I try to learn from people, mistakes that I've seen and mistakes that I've made, but I've also tried to. I mean, should I ever have kids? And there are people hoping I don't. Seriously, there are people begging me not to reproduce.
I mean, when it comes to having a future generation, getting them, the things that you never had, that's bullshit. That's just sentimental. I'm making myself feel good. No, you want to give them a fucking head start, and you want to give them something meaningful. Give them the lessons you learned the hard way.
Well, yeah, that's something I never. That's something they never had.
Mm-hmm.
I
and
never
you
had...
pray that they don't learn the hard way too. This is how I learned this. This is how I learned. You don't fucking. Oh God. Hold on, I gotta sift through like 85 different things that you should never do.
Yeah.
And pinpoint one.
And that's...
Okay, never get into a fist fight over shotgun. Whoever sits in the passenger seat doesn't matter.
No.
Yeah, that was a nice draw-up fight, and I was forced to sit in the back seat anyway.
So it also comes down to what media they buy, okay? Because if my dad ever said, "Oh, so they didn't like the band System of a Down because I guess the guy made some comments about 9/11 or whatever. I don't know. I wasn't there. And so they didn't like System of a Down for some reason. So they said, you can't listen to System of a Down, which in hindsight, thank you. But, back then I was begging for any metal, right? And of course, if they didn't like System of a Down, they were not going to love Deicide or Cannibal Corpse. So did I say, okay, I'm not going to listen to System of a Down? No, I found ways around. Anal Cunt. Same thing with they hated the name because the evil C word was in the name. So did I say, okay, I'm not going to listen? No, I found ways around it. Rather than that, I hope that if a offspring brought something that I didn't like, okay, why do you like this thing? What about it tickles your, fancy? Okay, here's why I don't like it. Why do you like it? And maybe I can actually understand. Okay, I don't approve, but as long,
But then again, we're people that would do more than just a broad generalization. It's Satan music. Don't listen to it. We're people are like, okay, this sucks. It lacks any fucking artistic merit whatsoever. What the fuck is up with it? I mean, I can't even see it fucking with you while you're like tripping on 6 hits of acid, kid. I mean, I've listened to shit that sucks artistically, but it was awesome whenever you were on 6 hits of acid, just because it would fuck with your brain and make it melt. I mean, this doesn't even qualify as that. What's up with this?
Well, exactly. So here's why I don't like it, but rather than just taking it away, because if you take it away, all is wow.
Now it's forbidden fruit. Now it's something they definitely need because it's something they shouldn't have.
That and wow, Daddy's an asshole. Well, fuck him. I'm going to okay. Well, like I said, why do you like this crap? Tell me what appeals to you about it. If they had asked me that, I probably could have explained it to them. But rather than just forbidding it, and of course, as soon as they forbid it, I found ways around it. And
that's what kids do. I mean, fucking The whole thing, I remember whenever they tried that parental control bullshit on the remote controls for, like, your cable box and shit.
Yep.
And, like, all you had to do was try one of two things. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, 5, 5, 5. Because parents didn't really know how to set it, but they had to set it in order to do something, so they would just pick one of those two combinations. That was it every time.
See, I never had that because I just watched Speed Channel. And then, of course, Comedy Central late night, but nobody knew that.
I mean, fuck, you know, or you just wait till your parents pass out watching TV, and then you could turn on Skinamax to watch your fucking softcore porn.
Oh, that was interesting. Of course, back then I had the internet, so I would look up, like, erotic stories.
Well,
And of course,
I'm talking from my generation. I know today's internet, God.
well, no. I probably had the same level of internet access that you probably had.
What are you talking? I didn't have that kind of internet access till I was in college. I didn't have internet access period till I was in college.
But I'm saying of when you first had the internet, I probably had the same level of access because I had the little braille note. So I would look up, and it wasn't so much the sex, because I didn't know what sex was, right? I wasn't aroused or anything. It was just that it was forbidden fruit. It was that something that, you know, everyone warned you against watching.
That's why I stole my dad's magazines from underneath his bed before I even hit puberty. Of course, I stole twice as many once I hit puberty, but, you know, it's just under his bed waiting to be stolen.
Now, on the internet, don't look at any pornography. You're going to be confronted by things, and don't look at them. If you see it, you know, exit out of the... My parents wanted me to use visual display, which is, you know, hooking up the braille note to a screen. Thankfully, they didn't have a compatible cable because the braille note was ancient. Remember those, like, 9-pin cables?
Yeah.
Where it, like, the pins, and they would, yeah, it was one of those things. So thankfully I could do whatever I wanted. So yeah, I would look, or again, I would watch, you know, that show has bad words. You're not supposed to watch that. Okay. Hey, it's on at 1 a.m.
Or heck, you wait till your parents are watching it and just sneak out of your room as quietly as possible and hide behind the corner and hope they don't hear you laughing.
Oh yeah, you know, or put your ear to the wall.
Go to sleep now, the bad movie's on. Oh, really? Oh, wow, Nightmare on Elm Street. Good shit.
That was my favorite because I could, back when I had ears that weren't completely fucked up, I could hear very well. So I would put my ear to the wall and I would listen to whatever they were listening to. So yeah, I heard a lot of, like, horror and stuff like that. It was awesome. Like, and of course I can't see, so I'm like, wow, that was an interesting squishing sound.
Yeah, it was funny. I could sit there and watch Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Chainsaw Massacre, you know, and have zero nightmares. But the movie that gave me nightmares was the Care Bears movie. And it was over the... I didn't know the word for it at the time, but now I do. It's the fucking... okay, I do know the word. Forced conformity, that's it. Because this Care Bear stare made you all happy and fucking want to be friends with everyone and be... It's like just forced to conform to our standards. And that's what fucking terrified me to have nightmares, was that people were going to force me to be happy all the time. And I'd never actually be happy, truly happy, because I was forced to act happy after that.
I know the point I was going to make when you said the Stepford. I was going to say, yes, Stepford makes a horrible reality. Great setting for porn.
Yay, I'm happy all the time. Oh my god, everything horrible's happening. I'm being stabbed. But it's great.
Those of you who have watched earlier episodes know what I'm referring to.
Yay.
Wonderful. Mind control porn, people. It's a thing and it's fascinating.
Yay.
Anyway, well, I always did joke that, you know, horror can't really be horror if, you know, is horror really considered horror if it doesn't scare you? And stuff like that never scared me. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was funny, maybe somewhat gross or interesting, but it never was like, oh my god, I'm having nightmares. I had a nightmare the other day that that I was trapped in a text adventure world. I love text adventures, as Jim knows, but I had a because I was playing text adventures all day. I had a strange dream that I was in a text adventure, and the only way I could move was by typing out commands.
Get coffee. Enter.
You pick up the coffee. Drink
coffee. It is too hot. Put down coffee. Put down.
Wait. Time passes. North. Yeah, that was a very strange. That was actually kind of that would be an interesting plot for a thing. But yeah, that was like kind of scary. Also, the other terrifying dream I had was a dream.
Oh, that just reminds me of a John Candy movie where he was like one of the writers for a soap opera, and then he ends up getting sent inside the world of the soap opera, but he could write any reality he wanted for himself in there.
See, I was limited by the text parser.
Yeah.
So text.
No, I said I wanted cold beer, not cold deer. God, typos. Never write while you're drunk.
For those of you not based in the world of text adventures, so a big thing about text adventures is it's called guess the verb. Especially on older text adventures that were a little bit more limited, you don't know what word the author has coded in. So if you say like take cup, I don't see any. You can't see any such thing because they coded mug. So that could be really annoying. So that was part of the dream where I had to get the word.
Let's guess the verb. It was always, is it take or is it get?
Yes. Oh, yes. You can't see any such thing. God damn it.
Take.
I can't.
What is take? Get. You get the coffee.
Get coffee cup. You can't see any such thing. Get coffee mug. You pick up the coffee mug. Drop. It says, yeah. So that was a very interesting sort of terrifying. The other terrifying dream was one where my computer didn't work, but heck. Oh God, no.
Oh well, let's have some more fun. Oh wait, what were you about to say?
Well, I was gonna say, but so yes, horror never scared me even when I was a kid. Yes, let's have some more fun.
Tamburo de escoria, miseria, rico y esperanza.
All right, the first one was Trans Metal with Consagrado.
Off their new album.
The next one was Acheron with Prayer of Hell.
Acheron. Off their
Acheron.
satanic. The Transmetal's new album is called Demiergo. Great Mexican death metal. Acheron, that was off the Satanic Victory EP.
And the last one was Hell Ripper, Black Arts and Alchemy.
From their Black Arts and Alchemy EP.
Mm-hmm.
Three great bands. Acheron sadly split up. Hell Ripper released an album last year that was awesome. And of course, Transmetal released an album this year, last year. I got it this year. So Scotland, or Mexico, U.S., and Scotland. We're international.
Yay! Let's see how many copyright flags we get for this one.
Yeah, right?
How many countries are we banned in today? Let's roll the fucking dice. Slam that slot machine. Lemon.
I think it was 28 was the most. The last few have been banned in like North Korea and Syria. I mean, all our fans are from North Korea, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
The Kim dynasty loves the Swine brothers. They watch it as they shoot the peasants.
Yes, you always gotta shoot them damn peasants. That just makes me think right back to, like, you know, how I think I would have been if, like, younger me was put into the world, like I was the one cryogenically frozen and came out and, like, post-apocalyptic thing. And, like, I see myself sitting there saying, which band is true metal? Holding a gun at one of the gang members' heads, and he goes, Metallica. And I say, specify! All of them? Bang! Eat his corpse in front of his friends. Now I want a 20-page fucking report written on, even though Cannibal Corpse is meat and potatoes death metal, what makes it awesome, and you can't just write it's awesome for 20 pages.
I was thinking, so before I met someone who would change my life, I would have gotten involved in some sort of horrible murder cult and been like way above my head, and finally realized that way too late, because I was that kid. I was the kid who wanted to dive in and experience everything, not realizing that maybe I wasn't ready for everything.
And some things you probably shouldn't experience.
Yes.
Oh God.
And it took one person, and you knew who I'm talking about, in particular, to sort of guide me through that and make me see, like, okay, this is bad. This you can experience, but you're not ready for. But that you should never experience.
Yes.
But I want to. No, trust me.
I've seen it destroy way too many people. And this thing here, wait until you try these 3 things before you get into that.
Yeah. Whereas,
because then you might be able to handle the mental processes required in order to not, kill yourself, kill someone else, commit arson, you know. There's a lot of things you could do while on acid that, like, if you're unprepared for it, I mean, the thing is, the thing with taking LSD is you are your true self, but you're also not, simultaneously. Once you can grapple this concept and meld it together and still generally act like yourself, then you are ready. That's why you have to smoke all this pot first.
You mean not run out of the tent screaming that the war is real and that you can't breathe because the air has become chlorine?
Yes.
Yeah, huh. The war's
Just
real.
sit down and keep watching the movie, Jim. Watch the movie. No. I know it's cool, y'all. Just watch the movie.
Whereas if I had not had that mentor, you would have been reading. Wait, did the blind guy just try to hijack a tank?
Yeah.
But he's blind.
I mean, God, I know that kids today are getting more and more risk averse and shit because they're fucking got pounded in their heads to be afraid of everything. There's a gnat on the ceiling. Run and hide. The apocalypse is nigh. There's a gnat on the ceiling.
You know, not too long ago it was. I'm getting into this race car, right? For a spectator sport, there are over 60 gallons of fuel behind me in unprotected fuel tanks. You know, no bladder, no anything. If I hit the wall, ass first, I could very well burn to death. And I'm not wearing a fire suit or a helmet. I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts, which I've soaked in some sort of, borax solution to make them fire resistant, but shirt and a t-shirt, shorts and t-shirt with a leather helmet. And I'm going to get into this car and go 180 miles an hour.
Around a track with about 30 other fucking whack jobs going, closer to 200, yeah.
Knowing very well that I could be killed by the end of this race. And I'm still going to do it.
Yeah, that's old school risk. I mean, hell. I mean, but, you gotta take risks in order to get a reward. Okay? That's just the way it is. I mean, what the fuck you think the lottery is? You risk $1 to try to get 10 million. Okay? But that's with everything in real life. You risk going out and failing at this job that you're applying for in order to get a job which will pay you money. And if you're not making enough while you're working the old job that's not paying enough, you look for one that pays enough. And if you sit there and start saying, well, that's not work I want to do for the higher paying job, then, well, just be happy with the fucking low minimum wage you're making. You know.
If you want to get an interview, you have to ask the person to interview, which can be a kind of terrible, especially if you're like, oh my God, I'm just some little guy. What are they going to say? But there's that little risk, and then you have to wait and see. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass yourself. Holy shit, I've actually lost the ability to speak. Jim, tell me. And you saved my ass.
Mm-hmm.
Because I lost the ability to speak for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was working so hard to not embarrass myself that I embarrassed myself.
Well,
when I just went into the natural pattern that I am now, it was like.
The thing is, I get it. Sometimes you're there and there's things you wanted to say and you completely forgot what you wanted to say and ask and all that shit. That happened whenever we interviewed with Jeannie. But that was because I had a flood of things and I couldn't sort through them and all that shit. But, whenever I sit there, but I remember, I used to have this thing where there was this huge bit of, fucking, anxiety. I'm meeting someone famous. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I had that.
But then, whenever I got older and I started, I hung out with Cannibal Corpse, okay? During their Vile tour. And, it was just like hanging out with my friends, They got me drunk. I vomited on myself, said there's no... George asked if I was okay. I was like, there's nothing wrong with vomiting yourself. Okay, go hose yourself off. We'll get you another beer.
The Dale Patterson interview. I was freaking, literally, oh my God, this guy knows, all these famous metal guys. I'm just some random guy. What the hell have I done? What have I gotten myself into? I'm not ready for this. And a friend said, look, you've read his books. You've talked to him. He's just a guy who likes metal. Okay, so he knows people you don't. They're just people who play in bands. And most of them are assholes. I mean, good musicians, and not all of them are assholes, but, they're... Don't put them on a pedestal just because they make great music. And I was like, and yeah, for the first part with you, I was like, my brain kind of went, but whenever, and I was shitting bricks when you left because I was like, now I'm gonna have to do this on my own. Oh my God! But once he's just a guy who likes metal. I'm just gonna talk to him like
just a human being, a fellow human being. Nothing spectacular. Nothing to sit there and worship.
No, and once I got out of that mindset, I thought it was a great interview. I thought, okay, audio problems on my part, sorry, but I thought it was a great interview. We talked about, bands and music, and it wasn't, he was like, wait,
so with Genie, my problem was I had way too much going through. It wasn't like, oh wow, I'm intimidated by this. It was like, okay, I was just having a fucking, I guess bipolar day with all the racing thoughts and shit, with way too much floating through there, and I had to grab at what was a solid thought and run with it.
It was like, and someone who listened to it was like, it wasn't really an interview, was it? It was more like a conversation. I was like, yeah, that's sort of the way, like, I'll ask questions, but then rather than, well, how is it like we're on the Rotting Christ book? And he'll give an answer. And then rather than just, oh, that was interesting. So how was it? I was like, yeah, that was really interesting. And, I thought, so that's my interview style, is I ask a question, seed it, and then once the sort of conversation naturally sort of ends, then I go on to the next one. Because I hate interviews. So, Jim, how's the tour? Well, the tour's good. We played in Baltimore last night. Really? That's cool. What's the new album called? The new album's called Cunt Sauce Sodomy. That's cool. I hate interviews like that.
Just keep shoving all your loving in my butt oven.
Yeah, right? It's just... Wow, that's really interesting. I heard...
That's really interesting, shoving all your loving in my butt oven. That's really interesting.
All right. But so that's and the same thing with Ryan from Intestinal Discord. I was like, but of course, once he joined, it was like, yeah, okay, he's cool, awesome. So I'd like to do more interviews, but people are busy. I think it's an excuse. I think they just don't want to answer my calls.
Bing, bing, bing. We're sorry. You're Elliot Lindemood. Goodbye.
Who is this? Oh, I'm calling on behalf of the Swine brothers. Click. Oh, well, that's... At least you have a very...
That'd be great if they actually came up with an automated message like it. Bing, bing, bing. You're with the Swine brothers. Goodbye.
we can't get an interview to save our life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting for someone to. Yeah, I'll do an interview. Hey, wait a minute. Did you call me an asshole in the last show? Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I call everyone an asshole. Oh god, there was this meme going around where this girl says, "Oh, you're pretty cute and funny," and the kid starts flipping out. It's like, and his friend's like, "Girl, what the fuck you do? He doesn't know compliments. Sup, ugly? Hey, what's up?" Went back to normal mode.
Yeah.
Makes total sense to me, because it's just how my friends communicate.
But I'm also getting better. When we were at the IndyCar race and I was, hanging around with some of the IndyCar drivers, there was really no oh my god, I'm talking to a guy who, might win the championship tomorrow. I was like, yeah, I've watched you race since 2011. Yeah, you're a good driver, man. It's cool. So I've gotten a lot better, as you said, with Cannibal Corpse, or me with Glenn Benton from Deicide. Yeah, cool. I really like your stuff, and I heard you really liked I mentioned a band called Confusion. He was like, wait, you know those guys? Because it was a very obscure band from, I think, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So, I am getting better about that. And, because...
I mean, especially after, there was a point when I was in college, someone actually asked me for my autograph because they saw me on fucking Fright Night Friday. And, the first time it happened, I was like, oh my fucking god, someone actually wants this? What? Okay. But then, after, a couple times, it's like, yeah, sure, here you go. If I got the time, I'll fucking sign your shit. What do you want? Smack your brick and, okay.
I've seen some comments on your Fright Night oh, I know you from somewhere. And I still like to say, hey, Jim's known across the country, because I've introduced Fright Night to 3 people on the West Coast, and they liked it.
Yay.
National popularity. How does it feel, Jim?
It's great. Just slather my cock with cunt sauce. Yeehaw.
He's, for those of you who don't know, he's Biker Jim on Friday Night Theater. He plays basically himself, just a lot hammier.
A lot hammier, over the top. Well, I'm over the top to begin with, but this is even more so.
Oh, it's hilarious. I mean, and
see, my entire plan is to go to hell, take it over, and turn it into Super Hell World, resort and theme park, where the tortured souls are only half the fun.
And by the way, I just like to point out when I say ham, I don't mean that as an insult. His ham is fantastic.
Yeah, because it's meant to be over the top, because it's like just silly little fucking, horror themed things in the middle of like horror movies.
So yeah, when I say it's really hammy, I don't.
And I'm with some other guys that actually do some decent work. I mean, and it's funny. It's like the guy that plays Hitchcock. He's like this kind of goofball in real life, but he plays the somber, straight edge guy that's always in control and greedy and shit on camera. It's like I'm the only one that's actually generally like myself. I'm just 10 times magnified on TV.
Yeah, so whenever I say, oh, he's really hammy, I don't mean that as like a bad thing. That's a great thing because it fits the show. It's not Shakespeare. It's a fun horror show.
Mm-hmm.
So go over the top. I mean, it reminds me of sort of Mystery Science Theater and like a kid-friendly Gwar. It actually gives off a lot of Gwar vibe, like it's sleazy, just like the budget and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Jim could be a Gwar fucked up my life.
Yeah, Gwar fucked up my life. Hey, look at me. I'm living the Gwar lifestyle. Huh? Yeah. Stop breeding me my little coven. Yeah.
Dracula's on the prowl. I could see Jim playing Dracula.
You just throw a little bit of money to this charity, that charity. I'm just like your government. Shit, I am your government.
The werewolf. Gore. Fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Friday Night Theater, it's great. The only thing that, the only thing they don't do is they don't riff over the movies, meaning I have to make my own riffs. And God, those movies, well, some of them are actually good. Others,
Bing, bing, bing.
Others, well, how do I say this nice way? Suck.
Yeah, that's putting it nice.
There's one in particular that was an interesting plot, but nothing happened. But
that was Creation of the Humanoids, wasn't it?
Oh my God, they just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and you'd think I'd like that being a can't see, but then nothing happened. It was just talking and talking, and then it ended, and part of my soul leaked out of my asshole.
Yes, you want to know what it's like to have your soul leak out of your asshole.
Watch Creation of the Humanoids, a movie where nothing happens.
Nor listen to this.
I'd like to buy you. Why?
Americanized. It's on my butt. The USA. Americanized. All you people will worship us.
I'm Americanized.
You worship me, but still you suck. USA. I'm Americanized. USA. I'm Americanized. babies, heads like daisies. I'm Americanized. Your world is full of hate and filth. I'm Americanized. I'll rape your dog with a plow. USA, I'm Americanized. USA, I'm Americanized. Protect God, come on man, let's go kill someone. Sheep fuckers, take fucking get off. Sheep fuckers. I execution, the redeemed service, the giving and taking of life will always be. Altering the future! Look into the future to prepare us for our fate. Controlling our existence with every life we take. Life for a life to remain the rule. The innocent victim, that is what's cruel. Look to the past is what we should do. When justice was done and justice was true. Using our laws to help their escape. An easy way out is what they create. Claiming the same is the way to freedom. People are stupid enough to believe them. Death and life taken so easily. Right or wrong, whose choice will it be? Abortion, when it is needed. Execution, for those that deserve it. The giving and taking of life will always be.
All right, the first one was Guar with Americanized off of Hello, their debut album.
I still remember when I bought that album. I bought along with Killing Is My Business. Of course, that was the remastered Killing, but that was a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday.
Next up was Death Clock with Hatred Copter.
I'm not even going to comment on that one.
And the last one, after having all that fun, we had to do something introspective, and it was Death with Altering the Future off of Spiritual Healing.
Not that there's any longtime fans, but in 2015, Jim sort of made fun of me for saying that I sort of liked the first couple, like that I liked Death Clock's album musically. So that's sort of what I found funny. Jim's right. It's fun. It's not thought provoking. It's not deep. It's not. It's musical junk food. And yes, Altering the Future off of Spiritual Healing, Death's last good album.
Just take all those lives so that way we can continue on.
Before Chuck became a fan of shoegaze and progressive rock. Yeah, Altering the Future. Hey, what if Chuck was hit by a bus after Spiritual Healing? Death would have never released a bad album.
Yay!
Sorry, okay, I know, I'm baiting, because Death's fans are very annoying. So, yes, that's just, yes, Americanized. Nice little,
You
back
know,
when War was, back before they really had the whole mythos, down.
yeah, the Cosmic Control tape. Eh.
And Don Draculic as Techno Destructo. And, yes, Americanized. There's a great Dave Brocky Experience live clip of that song. Very energetic.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
And that's the America I remember.
Raping dogs with plows?
Yeah, and like, you know, abortion with execution. Just do it all.
Yeah.
And being able to make these statements and
of course,
like have the ideas torn apart and the weird ideas that came out of that.
And of course, Guar was on trial, or at least, you know, and things like that. So it's.
I mean, hell, that's the fucking entire plot of what was it?
Alice in Wonderland.
Phallus in Wonderland. Yes, that's PH. Phallus, as in phallic. You know.
Yes.
And just in case people didn't get it, because, you know, things sound weird. But yeah, the entire thing was they arrested Odorous' dick. The cuttlefish of Cthulhu.
Because in real life, there was a trial about Dave Brocky wearing the cuttlefish, and there was a trial about it, and it was quite an interesting story, actually. I think there's an interview circulating. You know, and so Metal was on. I mean, dismembered and suffocation were tried in the UK. Granted, it's still on trial in some places. Behemoth Snurgle is in trouble with Polish authorities for, you know, blasphemy charges again. But that's because Poland is run by a bunch of Catholic hicks. No offense to anyone cool from Poland. I know several people from Poland, and they're very cool, but your leaders are fucked.
But the whole entire thing is, you know, this cancel culture thing, it's nothing new. It's just something I've always fought against. You know, I fought against it when the fucking conservatives were in charge of it. I fought against it when the liberals were in charge of it. I fought against it when the conservatives were in charge of it again. Now that the liberals are in charge of it again, I'm still fighting against it.
Yep. And it's, as I was gonna say, that it's not even new about the left being. I mean, read an old Maximum Rock and Roll review and drink every time someone accuses a band of being reactionary. Reactionary.
Oh, God.
But back then, even Maximum Rock and Roll were considered, you know, extreme by the left. So there was you didn't have to live there, but there was a Maximum Rock and Roll house, basically run by Tim Yohannan, who was a much older guy, and he actually forbid romance amongst MRR staffers.
Yeah.
Like a fucking communist cult.
Yeah, call me cold.
So, yeah, even so, but nowadays that's, you know, everyone loves AOC or whatever. I can't stand her.
I actually saw a party pic of her where she looked like she was having fun and was like actually average looking. You look at pictures of her today, her eyes are like completely lost. They don't have that look of life anymore. You look at her old party pics from whenever she was bartender, it was like, oh my God, she actually was filled with life and wanted to do things and looks like she had hopes and dreams. Look at her eyes now, they're completely shattered, devoid of such dreams.
See, that's why...
Never get into politics, kids. It destroys you.
That was my dream. That was my dream when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. I was going to go into politics. Then I watched a British show called The Thick of It. And if you've ever seen the show The Thick of It, you understand why that killed any and all aspirations for wanting to get into politics ever.
You see, I flirt with the idea of getting into politics now. I never did before because politicians were always my enemy. But I flirt with it now because they're starting to fuck with my life directly. fuck them. They need to have the entire system rigged so far against them they can't vote for a damn thing for a decade till they undo everything I did to make it impossible for them to vote on anything.
Yeah, but there's a problem here. You're a little too tainted.
Yeah, I know. But fuck it.
I mean, I still joke about... See, I would get into politics as like a joke. Or as like a, like the party of utter contempt.
Mm-hmm. That's a party I could get behind.
But that wouldn't be obviously it wouldn't be a serious... I would never actually expect to win anything. It would be, a ludicrous... But at the same time, I'm not ready to become a husk yet. I still have things I want to do. I'm not ready to lose hope and just become so jaded. I'm jaded enough as it is. I don't want to be more jaded.
Exactly. I want to fucking have a life, have some fun. Politicians, not even once.
I want to have hopes and dreams.
Like, I've seen fucking recovering heroin junkie crackheads recovering with far more life in their fucking eyes than your typical politician.
Yeah.
You want no part of that. I mean, sure, the power is like, oh my god, I got power, but then you fucking sell out.
You don't even get power. Because the only way you can get power is by basically taking so many bribes that when you get to the top and have a position of real power, you don't know what you believe in anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've
had to sell it all out.
Yeah, so when you get to the position of real power, you're like, who am I? So then you become everything you hated.
Mm-hmm. Happens every single time. And my favorite is like, you got these people saying, look at me, I'm one of the fucking poor people, the oppressed class. And then you get in the power, and you still say, I'm one of the poor people, the oppressed class, even though you're in power.
I've seen people come in as
you're the exact opposite of what you campaigned on now. Enjoy.
I've seen people come in as reform candidates, and they sounded like they had the best intentions in mind. 2 years later, it's business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like that was a real turnoff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I had the opportunity to do something as a joke or a protest vote, yeah, I would. I would definitely. If I were to, the one problem is I'm only charismatic when I'm in the mood to be charismatic. Okay, I'm not natural. That's why I could never be a cult leader. I'm not naturally charismatic. If I have enough caffeine in me, then I can be really charismatic and hammy. Other times, leave me alone.
See, I'm charismatic as fuck. If I want people to not like me, they don't like me. If I want people to like me, they adore me.
I have to really pump myself
That's why
up.
I just started being myself and saying fuck it. Because, if I want something, I could just get people to do it. And that's boring. If I do for myself, then I actually accomplish something and feel as if I had purpose in life. Oh, God. This reminds me of this fucking tweet I saw. Oh, dear God. This chick was like, why do we need purpose in our lives? We could just filter about to like one thing to the next, experiencing it, and it would be all good. It's like, really, you've never suffered a day in your life. You've never had a hardship where you had to have a purpose to guide you through. Me being homeless, for example, okay? What got me through it was trying to set a better example for my kids, even if they never looked me up because I lost rights to them while I was homeless. Okay? So I gave myself the purpose of trying to set the example for my kids. And that's what got me through homelessness. If I would have just, given up all purpose, well, I'd still be homeless.
Not just that.
Because there'd be little point in me doing anything, because it's just about filtering from one experience to the next, and I'm homeless, but there's still experiences, RDRR.
I've gone from one experience to the next with no purpose. You know how empty that feels?
I know.
You know how, it feels so soul-crushingly empty not to have a purpose, and just to go, that was 2012 to 2014, where all I had was like racing. 2015 was when I started doing the show, and my life improved. I actually felt like, I was doing something. That's why you need purpose. You need,
You get that fulfillment every step you take along the way, and when something's accomplished, it feels oh so good.
I don't like to just go
I mean,
one.
me fluttering about from experience to experience, eating acid and shit, that was fun and all, but me actually getting this fucking computer, this $5,000 computer I got, you realize how long it took me to get it? Like 30 fucking years of me trying to work on my credit, fucking trying to work on all this shit and all this other stuff, and I finally had the opportunity to get a loan, to get like an actual decent computer instead of some sack of shit. And I took it, and like the moment I got it, it was like mission accomplished. Like I could understand at that point what it must have felt like for these, like, car jockeys to get their fucking first Camaro or their first Lamborghini at the age of 65. I could sympathize with that because this is what I've wanted for so long, and now I got it. And even though I kind of take it for granted these days because I've had it for over a year, whenever I first got it, the feeling was just like pure ecstatic. That fucking delayed gratification. That delayed gratification was just like so awesome when it finally happened. It was like, dear God, I've wanted this for like years.
I had the exact same thing, but on a smaller level technologically, but no less big. So I had the Braille note that was an experience in and of itself, getting the internet attachment for it. But just on and on, there's so much I couldn't do, and it took so long. When I finally got a computer in my room that I could surf anytime I wanted without the limitations of the computer. So you know how amazing it was to load a Wikipedia page and have it load in a second, not 6 minutes, and then I didn't have to quickly copy it and then reset the Braille note because it ran out of RAM. I could read the page, and I could go onto YouTube and watch car racing, all I wanted, and I could actually play music. It was this. I didn't sleep that night.
And this is just like your hollow kind of delayed gratification.
This was my mom's old computer.
Like a few months ago, I actually talked to someone that I was amazed that, oh my God, this person watches the show. And the person actually said, yeah, you kind of changed my life because, I was just like, going around doing all these drugs. But now, I've cut out half the drugs and I got a job and my life's going better. I mean, they're still doing drugs and shit, but like, they cut out half the really bad shit and have a job.
I'm not going to tell people not to do drugs. I'll just say that be careful.
Yeah, be careful and realize, you might want to try that when you're younger and don't have the responsibility, because when you're older and have the responsibility, you gotta, hammer down on the responsibility.
You realize this story kills a lot of the jokes about the show, right?
Yeah,
that someone actually stopped taking drugs because... Anyway, so the thing is, it was my mom's old computer. It wasn't even a new $5,000 computer. It was my mom's desktop. I didn't sleep that night.
Oh, the whole thing is, we're going over, all this fucking hollow shit, and actually hearing that, someone, just one random person decided to do better. That's a fulfillment of purpose. Because, I want to sit here and share the wisdom I gained from my bad decisions, And that was, that moment where my purpose has been fulfilled, at least for one person. That is such a good high. It is so much better than all the acid I did.
I joke, and I joke because it's a comedy thing. But no, that is fantastic, and if I know the show's doing well, and it actually helps people, that is actually a great thing, because sometimes it does sort of feel like you're pissing into the wind.
Well, yeah, especially considering we're not saying the things that are trendy and popular, but as you keep telling me, a lot of people that actually watch the show that get in contact with you say we say what needs to be said, not what people want to hear.
Yeah, and people don't like hearing it. that's not. Some people don't like hearing. Some people think, well, we're a breath of fresh. I mean, okay, no, not a breath of fresh air, but we say what needs to be said. I don't think we're a breath of fresh air. I think we're a breath of putrid air. But sometimes I do think that we say things that need to be said. I don't mean to sound self-righteous about it, but I think we do sometimes say things that some people are afraid to say.
I mean, what's funny is, whenever people fucking call us edgy, it's like, what the fuck's edgy about us? I mean, half my jokes I came up with in the 90s. So it's fucking old hat even according to that. And the other half I rip off of better sources like fucking George Carlin, Richard Pryor, people who are even older than me. So if anything, if you're going to insult the show, say it's fucking dated. That's the correct insult. Edgy? No, we're far from. This shit's been done before, many years ago.
Well, yes. That's, yeah.
I mean, this is strictly 90s humor. Oh my god, it's so... Yeah, whatever, it's not edgy. It's fucking old. Ugh.
It sort of depends, because some people, when they say edgy, they mean, sarcastic. Oh, you think you're so, it's been done before. But some people actually do think it. I mean, I know people who, I actually know someone who I was talking to, and I posted, I think it was Excruciating Terror. Great LA band. I posted their 1990 demo. Okay? 1990 was 31 years ago. This music is so scary.
How? You failed history class in such a horrific manner that you learned absolutely... You actually lost knowledge with that history class you took and failed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's kind of amazing. But people are...
But you're so progressive, you're on the future. You can't even see the past. Not even fucking 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You can't even see that close in the past. No. You're fucking lost cause. Fucking, you're trying to bring us back to fucking Victoria era England.
Yes. Well, it's so the thing about edgy is I used to try to combat it, but now I'm just like whatever. But I think a lot of it is also people don't want to comprehend that people think like this and actually like A, aren't locked up, but B, semi-function.
Mm-hmm.
That
because we realize that there's lines you can't cross in real life.
That we, it's not even that we're locked up. We've actually had loving relationships.
Yeah, and we actually have people we give a damn about. Wow. And we actually do this thing like feel heartbreak whenever people break up with us and shit. It's like, oh God. We have, and like, we hold... I think that's something that people don't grasp. It's best not to show your emotions 24/7. Wait until it's appropriate, Yeah. Because there's times where, I'll sit there and I'll fucking cry. But, like, do you really see me cry online or fucking grab a camera just to cry in front of it? No. Because I'd rather be entertaining than, like, look at me, I'm so sad, here's my Patreon.
Yeah, well, and the time where I was really sad, and I actually said, look, can we hang out? I need to get my mind off something. We didn't broadcast that because it would have been a terrible broadcast.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun doing it. It was really, and there are sometimes you've, said the same thing, but,
I need to get out of the fucking muck and, like, oh, here's some, like, death metal. Good, that's what I need. And, like, oh, we'll talk about this fucked up thing. Hey, aren't you playing that video game? Why don't I just listen to it? It was like, oh, okay, yeah.
I rarely ask to go live because, I'll go live whenever. But that was one time where I was like, could we just do something? Because there's just something I need to get my mind off right now. And it was just, it sucked. But we did it. But I didn't broadcast it to the world. Oh, I'm so sad. It was just like, I didn't even mention.
And the thing is, if you're actually trained to fucking... It's horrible to train someone to fucking show their emotions 24/7 because that just means you're that easier to program.
Yeah.
Because they see which emotions you're having expressed constantly, so it's like, okay, well, I need them to be enraged. Let's show them the things that enrage them, because I already know what enrages them. Ha ha ha. I need them to love this person, so I'll show them things to make them hate the other people. It's really easy to manipulate people and fucking drive them into fucking wedges instead of letting them figure out their own things if you're emotional all the time. If your primary purpose is to be totally emotionally driven.
But even in
so if you can just sit there and measure it and, control it a little bit, you'll be able to get some logic in there and be like, wait a minute, that's fucked up. I shouldn't be like burning down my city, especially the community I said I wanted to protect. I said I'm all about protecting this specific community, and now I'm burning it to the ground. That's how I'm protecting it. What?
But I was gonna say, so even when we did the hangout, I think I only mentioned why I was, sad like once or twice. Otherwise, we watched necrophagia videos. Mm-hmm. But there's another side to it, and that's people who think that if you don't cry, then you're repressing your emotions.
I'm not repressing them. I'm just waiting until I can cry. Because I want to be able to get through the day and not just sit there as a shambling mound all the time and do nothing.
But sometimes I'm sad and I don't cry. I feel sad and I feel, heartbroken, but I don't cry. I'm not repressing anything, but it's just my body doesn't feel like crying. Other times, I'll well up or whatever. Hell, I even welled up a little at Kingmaker.
Mm-hmm.
That was such an emotional thing too. It was like,
oh god, that reminds me of the first time I fucking beat Fallout 4, because I actually got into the whole entire scenario with your kid now being father and all this shit, and the very first time, and whenever your kid passes, I actually started to cry. Then they start that pretentious as all fuck, you get only one ending with a mild variation depending upon if you detonated the nuke or not. This huge pretentious, I am an artiste bullshit, and it ruined that nice emotional moment I had.
There was one text adventure that actually made me well up, and someone's like, wait, plain text? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Not a video game.
Yeah, you got to use your imagination with text, but come on, I've cried reading books.
It was just so perfect and so sad. I was like, oh no.
And there's been times I said that motherfucker needs to die just reading a book.
Yeah.
Because they wrote the character to be so objectionable, I wanted him dead. It made his death so much more gratifying when it happened.
Well, yeah, and yeah, exactly.
That's what we call a talented writer and having a half-decent imagination. Not the best, but, something there.
Yeah, and sometimes you're reading a book and you're thinking, the Soul Rider series by Jack Chalker, where the whole point is revolutions usually come full circle. Which I know is a basic point, but it was done so well.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5 books. They're pretty long, but I recommend reading it, especially the one where the woman grows a dick for a tongue.
Okay.
The one problem with the book, I think I've said this earlier, is that they transform so many times. It's kind of hard to keep track, but it's actually very well written. And again, part of the problem. I mean, okay, so the city, you take over the city and turn it into a church temple, and then you get deposed and it turns into something else, who you sort of prop it up, knowing from the start that you're eventually going to have to make war with it and destroy it, but for now you let it prosper, knowing that you're going to have to destroy it. There's something to think about in there.
Mm-hmm.
And they do, and it's glorious. So yes, the Soul Rider series, check it out. It starts off as science fiction, it starts off as fantasy, and then it becomes science fiction / fantasy, and it's done in a very, very good way. Where yesterday's yesterday's science becomes today's magic. Because people just forgot.
Everyone always forgets everything.
Quite interesting.
I mean, I think that's one of the things I find a problem with like a lot of like modern writing when it comes to video games, movies, and shit is the fact that they can't just put themselves in someone else's shoes and fucking try to give them the benefit of the doubt and make them seem, I don't know, human. That everyone's just like this cardboard cutout.
Yes. Well, that is a big problem. My other problem is everyone has to cram their own fucking ideas down your throat.
Mm-hmm. All the fucking time instead of saying, these are the opinions I differ with, and they're actually pretty decent, but I hate them, but you can think that way.
Well, or writing opinions that you completely differ with, but writing them in an intelligent way where you can see what their opinion is rather than making cartoon villains.
Mm-hmm. Not even cartoon villains. These are cardboard cutout, stick figure villains.
Well, yeah, because there are some pretty good cartoon villains, man.
Mm-hmm.
There have actually been some pretty good cartoon villains that actually had depth.
Oh, recently they had this thing where, like, the Red Skull, who's supposed to be, like, the last descendant of, like, true Nazi Germany. That's who he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
He was actually reciting talking points from Jordan Peterson, the guy who we use for the intro to mock us.
That's text-to-speech, by the way. Don't sue us, Peterson.
Yeah. And besides, we didn't think you'd like us. Anyway.
He'd fucking hate us.
But like, this is supposed to be like the supreme evil, and he's taking like, this isn't even like a conservative angle. It's just like, oh wow, boys being boys is like supposed to be seen as like the most supreme evil. Wow, like what?
Well, yeah, people are very strange.
You have a Y chromosome. You are evil by default.
It's toxic masculinity.
Well, it's like, just very generic fucking, watered down, oh wow, we used to be conquerors. What, conquering's bad now? You can't do something like I did and conquer homelessness, by getting a job, working your way out, finding a shelter, all that shit, getting your own apartment. You can't conquer homelessness by your own thing. You have to sit there and wait for someone else to do it for you. Like a complete sheep flying from experience to experience without a care. Tee-hee.
And then you realize how meaningless your life is. It's not even that complicated. Jim, as a kid, what toys did you want to play with? Did you want to play with pink dolls?
I had fucking G.I. Joes where, like, I had the Drunk Crew, which was like it was pretty much a mixture of, like, what's it called? I forget, it was one of the Canadian actor duos that were drunk all the time.
Yeah.
And, it was a combination of them with Cheech and Chong.
Yeah.
And, like, this was my crack sharpshooter and demolition.
Bob and Doug McKenzie.
There we are.
There you go, you hoser.
There we are. That was it. I mixed those two with Cheech and Chong. And, like, that was my that was my demolitions expert and my fucking sharpshooter. And they were just complete degenerates, and they would go over here. And we only called them in when we absolutely needed them. Because otherwise, they would just fuck everything up.
Yes, you ready to go? Yeah, hoser.
Yeah, and then, like, everyone else had all these fucked up things, and most of the good guys were like repurposed Cobra guys that I took the screw out of the back and put on different body parts. Okay, and, like, and most of the evil guys were, like, the generic-looking G.I. Joes, even though a few of the G.I. Joes were on my good guy team, and the bad guys had a few Cobra guys that just looked too generic.
Yeah. So
except for the Cobra Commander with the metal mask, and I had two of them, and one of them was burnt. They were always trying to resurrect them.
Okay, so that's who you played with. You didn't play with Barbie.
Nah.
I didn't play with Barbie either. I played with cars mostly. So So
I
apparently
will say that I did trade 3 G.I. Joes for my sister's long-haired Barbie, who I turned into Bag Lady Barbie.
I stole my sister's like Barbie Jeep because I'd never seen a Jeep before, or something like that. So the point is,
But Bag
so
Lady Barbie, come on. Who doesn't want Bag Lady Barbie?
yes,
Turning tricks on the corner.
But my point is that's considered wrong now.
Yeah.
Apparently, if you don't, but the reason you didn't want to play is you weren't encouraged to want to play with. My parents wouldn't care what I played with, but I liked cars more than I liked, dolls. How was
I liked
that bad?
going out and having adventures and being the hero and all that. And sometimes being the villain. Because sometimes the villain made more sense than the hero.
And I liked, I didn't care if they were female. The female in Buzz Lightyear was a badass. I liked her, but it wasn't like I was against it. It's just but as far as what I usually played with, either Buzz Lightyear style action figures or cars.
I played with matchboxes.
Or like army vehicles, tanks.
My sister played G.I. Joes a lot too, so
I never did G.I. Joe. I had one G.I. Joe that was on a motorcycle, and I played with the motorcycle more than I played with the G.I. Joe.
Well, you have to remember, back in my day, it was the threat of nuclear war everywhere, so you kind of figured it was inevitable that there was going to be a war, and that played on a kid's subconscious at some level, so having a way to vent war was probably a lot more useful to me.
Well, I had a lot of Army stuff. I just didn't have a lot of G.I. Joe stuff.
Well, G.I. Joe was also really popular in the 80s, and it kind of died off in the mid-90s.
And then it got popular again in like 2003, 2004 when we invaded Iraq. I noticed that, and I had a motorcycle, but it was like a realist. It wasn't like one of the more futuristic. It was like more the realistic things.
Oh yeah, I had a couple of those and some other weird shit. I had the one airplane that would drop it would drop like these fucking mini bombs out of it. And then I had this giant truck which shot out missiles that shot out cluster bombs.
Well, another thing with me, and I'm sure you figured this out. I was one of those kids. I didn't want a cartoon Hot Wheels car. I wanted a 1970 Chevy Chevelle. I didn't want an Army tank. I wanted an M1 tank. I wanted to see what those things look. So I would do like I had an M1 and a Sherman and a Tiger. So I would do mock battles with so the M1 gets transported, because M1's a modern tank. The M1 gets transported back into time and fights a Tiger, and then an A10 Warthog and a P38.
I remember when I was first played D&D. I'd read through the manuals. I stole into my dad's room, and like my babysitter's sons had D&D, and I begged them, and then I got to play the first time. And I lost a character trying to kill a goblin, but then the next one came up, I drew up on the spot, killed the goblin. The goblin had a ring of 3 wishes. And I lost 4 characters to that ring of 3 wishes. Because first thing I did was I had my character wish for 1 billion gold, or a gazillion, or it was an insane kitty amount,
Yeah.
And like all the gold just came crashing out of the heavens, killing him underneath it, and then vaporized.
Oops.
So then my next character came up, got the ring, and wished for a body that would never die again. Well, when you're dead and impossible to re-raise from magic, you can never die again.
Oops.
So then my third guy got really creative. And he wished for infinite wishes, and he wished for infinite wishes, wished for infinite wishes, and got stuck in that loop, so I had to draw up a 4th character who I drew up as a thief, and I decided to backstab him because I figured by this time it has to be charged at least a gazillion wishes in it. So I went to stab him, and I did kill him in 1 shot. Then it reset. He wished for infinite wishes. I stabbed him again. Reset. So then my next character, I left them alone and went about my merry way because that ring of 3 wishes was evil.
So you wished for infinite wishes, and you wished for infinite wishes, and you wished for infinite wishes, and your hand closes around the figurine, and your hand closes around the figurine.
Yeah.
We both broke reality.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I know what the ring said when you left it alone. I and Calypso.
And I thank you for playing Twisted Metal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it said. I like that we both broke reality. So,
this is like 6-7-year-old me. It's like, oh my god, I'm so smart. Oh god, I destroyed myself. I lost 4 of my first 5 characters to a ring of 3 wishes.
Just imagine, Jim.
And there was only 3 wishes in it to boot, and I still lost 4, not 3, 4.
4 characters. Just imagine, Jim. Just if that happened, if we were narrating, so me forever saying, and your hand closes around the figurine, and your hand closes around the figurine, and you forever saying, and you wish for infinite wishes.
I wish for infinite wishes. I wish for infinite wishes.
Your hand closes around the figurine. Your hand closes around the figurine.
I wish for infinite wishes.
and then you hear beep beep beep. We are sorry. The universe has encountered a problem and needs to close.
Goodbye.
We killed the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that is fantastic. I've had a lot of fun destroying things. So yeah, I always liked warplanes and war stuff, and I had so of course I would stage mock battles. Don't ask me how a P-51 shot down a Tomcat, but it just did. Damn it. P-51 shot down supersonic jets. Lucky hit.
Bing, 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 bing.
But yes, apparently that's because we weren't encouraged to play with Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
Dude, I did play with Barbies a little bit, but it was always to make them fucked up and do stupid shit. And half the time they were just giants that my G.I. Joes had to kill.
Yeah. The other thing I had was...
Except for the drunks who liked... I mean, I didn't really understand sex that much, but I knew that the guy would put his head between the woman's legs and like it. So, my drunk crew would do that with the Barbie giants.
The other thing I would... Because, of course, I couldn't see was animals. Various types of animals. So I would have, a tarantula driving a tank or something like that,
Oh, yeah. Like the real Ghostbusters shit, those things are like weird abominations I'd have come out.
Why is there a tarantula driving a Sherman tank?
Because it can.
Oh my god, is that a tiger in that plane?
Hey man, it's a Tiger 15, what you gonna say?
There's a shark flying that plane. I don't even know how that works.
Oh god, that's like 1970. Oh, what was his name? Jabberjaw. Yeah, the talking shark.
Yeah, oh god.
That's just Jabberjaw when he had to get drafted into the army,
Jabberjaw, the army years.
Oh god.
A decorated Air Force Sergeant Jabberjaw.
Yeah.
This is who we were as kids, people.
Exactly. Let's show them who we are as adults.
No, I've completely...
Or at least as teenagers.
Well, I'd like to think we matured at least a little bit. Who am I kidding?
Alright, the first one was Death Hammer with Death Thrashing Sacrifice off of their
Right.
Onward to the Pits.
Great Norwegian thrash metal. I'm gonna go and say they're one of the only few new thrash bands you need.
The next one was Cancer with Back from the Dead off of Death Shall Rise.
Great album, great band.
Oh,
So-
God. Okay.
I was thinking because we were talking about becoming emotional due to media. I went through a very long period of attempting to avoid that because I was so annoyed by the "you have to be emotional" thing. So I went very long to avoid that. But I remember someone was surprised that I actually cried because of a video game. I'm like, well, yeah, video games are they're media, and you get attached to these characters if it's good writing, and if something emotional happens, then yeah, it's only natural that you cry or get angry
Or shut up, Tristan.
Yes, or especially Octavia with Kingmaker, what she said about Lindsay. It was like, oh god.
Yeah.
That was actually
My
very
propagandist. She was so cute.
yeah. She was adorable, but it was like that actually hit me, or in certain books or whatever. But as you said, I've never really done a I'm so upset. There was one video I did where I was actually kind of scared, but it was not. It was when I heard Hangouts was going away. I made a video saying, I don't know how we're gonna do it. I don't know what we're gonna do, but I'm not going to stop just because Hangouts is done. I know no one cared, but I needed to make that for me, just to say, look, just because you have this obstacle doesn't mean. And I think the show's actually improved because it's on Skype, because we can do intros and stuff. Whereas before it was just us talking. Which I hate the sound of my own voice.
Yay.
I always say that. What do you mean you hate the sound of your own voice?
It's time to fuck your mother. It's time to destroy all life. It's time to murder your family on the Crackhead Show tonight. Boom, boom, boom.
But at the same time, we talk about what we were talking about what we did as kids or whatever. And as we've stated before, we watched girl shows as kids because we just didn't give two shits.
And you know what's funny is as kids, back whenever cassette tapes were the thing, we got blank cassettes, and me, my sister, and cousins would record ourselves acting like complete goofballs at it.
Oh, yeah.
And we would call it the screwed up tape, the messed up tape, and it was all in the same thing.
My sister and I did, yeah.
It was and then we do things record things. It's we recorded a giant eagle commercial, just so at the end, instead of going giant eagle, it went giant, and then we cut in Deagle, Deagle, Deagle. Deagle being the bitch from Gremlins 1. And we were trying to invoke the image of this chick being launched out of her chair into the sky because Gremlins fucked with it. And that's the kind of story you're going to. It's just 9, 10 years old. I'm doing this shit, being dark sense of humor. And oh god, that's another thing I wanted to bitch about, people not getting dark senses of humor. It's there was this guy that was sitting there shitting on someone just blindly praising one of the Fallout 4, which, Fallout 4 is complete shit compared to other games when it comes in terms of introspection and shit. Because you don't really think about it. It's all you reacting to situations. So it's not even real deep introspectively. Previous titles. Even Fallout 3, which also sucked in this front, had at least something. This has almost nothing. You have to go looking for it in order to find it, and you have to have lived a certain lifestyle to even get that much.
Yes.
But he's sitting there and he's shitting on it for this, and like one of his things was to bring up from Fallout 1 saying that this guy said, they sent you out to the glow as a joke. No, they didn't. Yes, they did. There's like 3 references to it. The first is more nuanced. Whenever you go back to fucking Cabot and talk to him, he kind of just jokingly dismisses you if you didn't bring back the damn thing. The next reference is inside the fucking Lost Hills bunker, where the guy says, oh, I guess the joke's on them then, because they kind of just sent you out there as a joke to die, because that's dark humor for you. And then again, whenever you go to fucking the hub to save the fucking Brotherhood guy, and he says, oh, you're with the Brotherhood? Damn, I guess, yeah. You weren't supposed to survive that? That was our joke?
People get dark humor, but they don't think that someone would actually do, make it physical like that. Like, yeah, okay, you made a joke about, but...
Well, you're living in that was part of the whole entire reason for Fallout, the original couple Fallouts, was to explore morality in a post-apocalyptic land. Whenever there's nothing holding you back from doing these devious deeds. And, yeah, descendants directly descended from the military looking at people that like they don't need, and like, okay, fine, you want to join, go here, go on the suicide mission. That's why it's like a huge, oh shit, you actually did that? What?
There's two things. One, that, and two, if you're immortal, because if you're immortal, or if you're ghoulified or whatever, if you're immortal, you're going to get bored with regular thrills pretty quickly. Lovecraft explored this with the race of human-like creatures living for all time, and because they live for all time, they got bored and they think that torture is basically entertainment. Mm-hmm. Because what else are you supposed to do? You live. There's 2 things I can't stand. That's someone who doesn't get dark humor, and the other thing is when everything's just constantly dark all the time.
Oh, God.
Not dark.
It's like, even at the intro of this thing, whenever we start this thing, I'm sitting there making fun of fucking conservatives for, like, not for letting these fucking crying, whiny crybabies fucking walk all over them. But, like, you might say that's a doomsayer thing, to the conservatives and all that shit. But I also offered, well, this is what you could do to change. You could change yourself. You could change how you react. You could try to make your community better, one person at a time. Get involved in your little church groups and do something, positive for the damn community that might draw some of these people away from it, because that's really why they're crying. They're trying to belong to a group, and there's no, like, real visible group for them to belong to, because they all got washed in one thing or another.
See, I used to dismiss that at first whenever someone said, oh, it's just pointlessly dark, and I was like, oh, you guys just don't get it. And then I actually watched something that they talked about, and I was like, yeah, this is pretentious. It's not dark as in, like, it's just someone saying we're doomed over and over again. Yeah. We are doomed. Let us pray. I also find that a little bit of humor makes the darkness even worse, because it makes it more of a human thing, whereas if it's just dark, then it's an art project. Yeah, it's stupid. Nobody's like that. You hear... It's like my major complaint with, like, Fallout 4 is, like, so much is done for, I am an artiste. See, I made a storyline. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, God. You hear about people telling jokes in prison or whatever. People joke at the worst possible times and the darkest situations. Yeah, break that tension so that you can maybe cling on to some hope to get out of it, or maybe just to get your mind off the fact that something shitty just happened and I need to do something about, and prepare yourself because you got to do something about it, or maybe there's nothing you can do, so like you're just trying to cope with the fact that I could do nothing. I just got to sit here and endure for another few minutes. So yeah, that is something that has developed because at first I was like, oh, you guys are just too soft. You guys don't understand. And then I watched it was a superhero movie I think it was that someone was calling pointlessly dark, and I was like, yeah, that was pointless. I mean, there was no it was just everything sucks and we're doomed.
Yeah.
Okay, well but it wasn't fun. I mean, dark can be fun. I've played some really dark games that were, exceedingly dark, but they weren't. I don't know. It didn't feel pretentious. It actually felt.
I mean, if it's done well, you can make it a nice introspective moment, or even make it a humorous moment in the middle of a bunch of dark things happening. Yeah, and it all works. But then if all it is like darkness, my only friend. Shut the goddamn fuck up. Why not just go darkness, my only friend? Now 30% less calories.
And there's nobody to really just everyone's just brooding all the time.
Brooding and sitting there in the corner like the goddamn emos I made fun of whenever I first got into metal.
I mean, you could even make that work if you do it well. But yeah, it was like, oh, I finally get why people make fun of grimdark. Oh, okay.
Fuck, you play Dark Sun. My God, that is such a fucking... Here's a shit sandwich campaign setting for pen and paper. The gods left. The closest thing you could worship is an elemental. Magic of one type is completely forbidden because it destroyed all of your natural resources. You are living in a fucking wasteland, and slavery is like the hot new thing because we gotta have someone to do all the work we don't want to.
Yeah.
And it is just a huge shit fucking sandwich setting, but at the same time, you can have interesting... the modules that came out for it actually had some interesting plots. It wasn't just go into a dungeon and kill these things. It was think about this. And that was another thing with the Planescape setting, was that it wasn't, oh, wow, you could go to hell or heaven and kill a bunch of things, or, all this. It was exploring different ideas, where you started each campaign with a question, and by destroying what you considered reality, you would get to the root of the answer to the question.
That's why I like Lovecraft so much, because, yes, his stuff was very dark, and if you think about it long enough, a lot of the victories they won were pointless. Or, well, not pointless, but Pyrrhic victories. You win for now. But at the same time, you also know that these people won't be alive to see the Cthulhu arise again, or to see, another, opening of the gate. So they can at least rest somewhat easy. So, a little positivity actually makes the darkness worse. Because you have that glimmer of hope, and then you realize Anchorhead is a great text adventure that's very dark, but it's not grim dark. It's actually very well done. It's very clearly a Lovecraft influenced thing, but it's very well done. Whereas other games, I was playing one, and it was, like I said, it was just, we're all doomed. It wasn't even a fun doom. It was just like, everything sucks.
Yeah, it wasn't I'm wearing Space Marine armor, carrying a double-barrel shotgun, blowing away aliens doom.
It was just boring.
I'm blowing away alien-fied fucking demons turned cyberized in hell. That's fun.
Yeah.
And now I will teabag one of them.
I guess there's a difference between, say, doom metal and, emo. Whereas Doom is very dark, but it's not cloying.
It's exploring an idea where the fucking emo's like, oh wow, it's all hopeless.
Yes.
There's no idea other than it's hopeless, boo-hoo. I mean, that's one I think whenever I bitch at people that just don't get fucking nihilism. Because, you got the people that are like the very lowest tier, the crying emo types. It's all meaningless. Boo-hoo. Okay, and then you got the next stage where you got your fucking Ulysses at. It's like, I am the destroyer of all reality because it is all meaningless. Ha ha. And that's kind of funny looking back on it, and I can see where people, because there's usually a lot deeper thought than it's hopeless, but at the same time, the thought is so eroded under your own pretentiousness that, like, oh God, it's hilarious looking back at it, but at the time, God, was I annoying. But then you get to the point where it's like, fucking Weird Al's actually pretty cool. You just stop caring, and then you start defining your own purpose in life.
Okay, fine. Everything's hopeless. There's no meaning in life. There's no grand plan. God ain't gonna save your soul. Cool.
I'll just have to save myself then. Oh well. Mm-hmm.
And then there's the satanic nihilist, which is complicated. Jim thinks it's stupid, and I think he's stupid.
Exactly.
Chaos.
The void is not chaos. It is just a constant nothing.
I need to get an
answer. At zero pressure.
See, the reason I don't try to defend it is because I'm still really new to this stuff. I'm going to get someone who knows what the hell they're talking about, and they're going to eat you.
You see, I know what you're trying to go for. Is that great unknowable what happened before the Big Bang? What was the universe like that before that?
Yes.
But that's not the void. That's the unknowable quantity. We don't know if it even was a void, if there was a void.
When I said they were going to eat you for breakfast, I didn't mean that I didn't mean that figuratively. They're actually going to eat you.
Oh, good. Good thing I teabagged my own face.
So, I mean, Grand Theft Auto is very, it's a pretty dark game, but I don't know. It's kind of, well, yeah.
It's dark, but it's also hilarious, and it's also got interesting ideas sometimes. And other times it just recycles shit from other media to make a callback to, different things.
Yeah, sure. And sometimes it's a very shallow parody, and other times it's a little bit more. But like I said, it never feels like everything sucks, and it's fun. So yes, do dark well, people.
Yeah.
I generally like. Although I can, as we've talked about shows we've watched. I can watch light shows.
Yeah. It all depends upon what's going on.
All depends on the quality of the show.
I think it was some sort of Funhouse thing that was on Comedy Central years ago where it was just like adult puppet humor with this guy trying to still play the part of the kid show host, but like the puppets were like, hey, let's freebase things. Look, my son died trying to make the perfect drug. We have now refined happiness, Christmas joy. Let's freebase it and go.
Other times it's just like, Mystery Science Theater isn't very dark. Well, the movies can be, but the riffing generally isn't. But hey, it's fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, so it just, I guess it depends on, like I said, how good the writing is. You can do dark bad. You can do happy joy shows very well.
Hell, I just downloaded a patched ROM that let me do Legend of Zelda Randomizer for Link to the Past. And that's like a bright, frilly game that, like, the darkest it gets is the Dark World, which is still bright and frilly, just a little brown.
I enjoyed Long Live the Queen, even though that was a little bit frilly. Magical Diary, I enjoyed it in like in a very strange way.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too, but it's also like so girly that like you need to listen to flower metal in order to power up.
I actually
start getting that testosterone back.
I showed it to a friend, and he actually sent me an email. I saved it. Just give me a second here.
Okay, wait a second.
Here we go. Hey fucker, I played that Magical Diary Horse Hall game. It was a fun game, but the ending made me actually watch Gem and the Holograms to man up.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Like that, it's fun, but it completely depletes all testosterone.
Yeah. especially the lesbian kiss.
Oh God, yeah.
And
I got all the achievements for it, so I played it multiple times and got through different pairings and endings. And oh God, the one supposed to be the evil ending is so lame.
Yes. Another game I liked, or visual novel or whatever, was the When They Cry thing, which was very happy. Well, it was happy until it started getting dark.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very strange one because we didn't read all that deep into it because it goes over and over and over again until the time resets. But it started out as very happy and I thought it was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to kidnap cute girls and take them home with her.
Yes, kidnap cute things.
Yes. That was quite fun. And yeah, Magical
And then
Diary.
everyone thought, the cute picture he showed her was his dick. No, it was just a macaroni
fur
thing he
seal.
made.
It was just a fur seal.
Yeah.
Or stealing a Colonel Sanders statue.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Magical Diary I thought was okay. We did the joke thing where we the robot or whatever because we're just weird. But we actually played it straight through, and like I said, I enjoyed it in a very strange way. But yeah, that does sort of deplete. Yeah, flower metal or girly '80s kid shows.
Mm-hmm. You gotta fucking take that first step to get your testosterone back.
Yeah.
And you need to. I don't care what kind of thing you got going. Even if you're a woman, you need to.
Jim mocks me for flower metal. I don't listen to that much of it, but hey, good melodies are good melodies, man.
Yeah, I know. There's shit.
It's why I like Bad Religion.
And I mock myself for listening to certain things.
Oh, yeah, I've seen some of the stuff you listen to. But well, and that's another. So I'm in a metal group, and I'm watching people who were myself 10 years ago. One guy actually said, is it okay if I listen to some pop? I'm like, I don't care if you listen to pop.
You haven't totally embraced nihilism yet. Don't worry. Once you do, you'll realize why does it matter if you do or don't.
I listen to some power pop. It's good stuff. Has some great melodies.
And sometimes I make fun of you about it. Sometimes I'll actually listen to it with you. It all depends.
Yeah. On other times, we'll make fun of each other.
Yes.
But just because Jim makes fun of something I listen to doesn't mean I'm not going to stop listening to it.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to stop listening to my fucking Weird Al.
Okay.
Even though I sound completely pretentious every time I say, listen to his fucking actual, non-parodies. Because they can get some deep concepts in there. His parodies sometimes do that too.
Well,
and Ricky, oh God.
Tend to be funnier.
Fucking that song there. I can't listen to it because he nailed Lucille Ball. And I always found Lucille Ball's voice annoying. And he nailed the voice. And it's just like, oh God. I can't. It's so well done. I can't listen to the song because that. No, not Lucille Ball.
Did I tell you this? Yeah, her voice is annoying, and Fran Drescher's voice is also completely. So we were in New Orleans in 2009, and my grandmother had to share a hotel room with me. Oh God. And she fell asleep watching the classic TV or whatever, and whatever the classic TV thing loved Fran Drescher. How can you sleep with that voice? I could not sleep because I just hear her voice and go, I want to die. I want to die. I want to die.
Happy faces filled with fear. What a wonderful time to drink beer. Heidi-ho, it's crackhead crack rock day.
Well, yeah, I listened. But yeah, someone actually asked, is it okay if I listen to pop? Or am I a poser for listening to pop? And I said, you're a poser for asking.
Yes, that's the correct answer.
I don't.
Is it okay if I homebrew this D&D, or am I you're a poser for asking? Just do it.
The other one was someone saying that I don't like any modern metal because it doesn't do anything new. I'm like, if you want something like new for the sake of new, you're going to listen to a lot of horrible things.
Yeah.
Performance art, which is very interesting, and
The screaming vaginas thing, it's like, why?
I mean,
I'm a woman. It's like, fine, you're a woman, don't care.
Or like performance art or something like that, or music with unusual instruments. That's fascinating. I may even watch it for a little bit. Would I ever come back to it? No. Will I come back?
Someone developed this AI to make death metal.
Yeah.
And like once in a blue moon, it would crap out something that was actually decent. The rest of the time it was just incomprehensible gibberish, but people were singing praises to it.
Now,
and it's like, but do you even listen to it?
Because
I tried for about 3 hours, and like, yeah, there was a cool riff here, and then the rest of it was complete garbage.
One of the bands that I played here was called Deathhammer. You've heard it. You've heard a couple songs, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
They bring nothing new to the table. Absolutely nothing. Okay, they're a complete throwback.
But it's a good throwback.
Who would you rather listen to, Deathhammer or Baby Metal?
Deathhammer.
Even though Baby Metal technically do something a little bit new, which is metal with pop and reggae or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some Baby Metal I actually like, and the rest of it's just like meh.
Hey, there's 2 songs I like on that album. I love that.
I liked a few more, but that's mostly because I remember my drug years.
I love that one of our mutual friends thought we developed Stockholm Syndrome.
Huh?
Saying that we couldn't possibly have liked any of the songs, and that we most likely developed Stockholm Syndrome. I mean, it probably, but it was just like, hey, this song's like really, 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 really poppy power metal, but it's not, 10 genres in one. I could actually sort of listen to this.
Oh, some of the songs that were 10 genres in one I kind of liked. Others were just like, meh.
I didn't hate the album as much as I thought I would, which is, although there was a time where you're like, I think he's really suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Slipknot, there's one song I didn't mind on Slipknot's first album, and the only reason I didn't mind it was in that context was because it was the one fast song. It was like, they're doing something rather than doing rap beats. Yay!
Yay.
That's pathetic.
I think there's like 2 songs I actually liked off there, and then the rest were all just the same song with different lyrics.
Whereas you didn't like Shining, and I had a religious experience, so there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And we all liked Vaughn and Cannibal Corpse.
Mm-hmm.
Vaughn's good shit, man. Yes, we did a review episode. We did a review episode many years ago, and all the comments were about Baby Metal.
Mm-hmm. Not the other shit.
Nope, no Vaughn fans, no Cannibal Corpse fans. No, not even a Slipcorn fan.
Yep, Slipcorn.
I pretended.
Every song sounds the same.
I pretended. I pretended to destroy a Slipknot CD on microphone, just thinking it would get some outrage points. Yeah, I know, it's pathetic.
Yes, it's pathetic.
But come on, I was like 22.
Yeah, I had to teach you how to man up a little bit.
Shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
See, it works.
It worked. Yeah. All my effort has worked. Shut the fuck up. My effort has worked. I'm so proud.
I just had that picture. Well, can't teach it no more. I don't blow your brains out, Jim. I don't want to have to get another co-host.
God was fired.
Actually, that's actually, I didn't want to have to say it, but Jim has actually been fired after this episode. We're going to replace him with a 50-foot dildo. we've actually installed a voice box to mimic Jim's voice. The only thing is we can only program with him saying my asshole. Hi Jim, how are
it's
you?
in different tones, so you know.
Yes.
My asshole, my asshole, my asshole.
That's really interesting, Jim Dildo. Yes. There was a Stanley Parable mod where you can get the narrator to just say Stanley in different tones.
Reminds me of the Gary Vault. Gary. God, I wish I would have left that one holotape in with the fucking one DLC. That was hilarious. Gary? Ah, fuck it. Let's just get it off him. Gary!
Oops. Yes, the Gary Vault.
Oh, man.
I remember you showing. I didn't look that one up, so I remember you showing me it, and I was just like, "This is hilarious."
Yeah, just psychotic people saying Gary as they try to knife you down and shoot you for reasons unknown, and then you go through the thing, you find out it's because you're not Gary. That's the entire reason you have to be destroyed. You're not Gary.
Yes.
Everyone else is Gary. You are not. Therefore, you must die.
You are not Gary.
They can't even say that. It's Gary. What? What the fuck kind of hell am I unleashed?
Unless you steal something, they actually say something that doesn't belong to you.
Yeah.
I know it's a stock sound. It's just hilarious that the trying to steal something actually got them to break out of the
Gary.
or when their pants explode. Gary.
Which is how we dealt with the vault.
Yeah, the pants grenade thing never gets old.
No, it does not.
Just imagine. I feel weird.
Wait, my pants are heavier. What the?
That along with the New Vegas trying to freeing the slaves by killing them.
Yeah.
No, not like this. And then
Don't worry, I'll help.
Why?
I was just helping. Setting you free.
I had you kill the mother and daughter because they actually made noises when they exploded, whereas the son didn't make a noise. You don't make a noise, so you don't get to explode.
Yes.
That's insane troll logic right there. You don't make a noise, so you don't get
You're
to
the
explode.
sole survivor simply because your noise is not good enough. Wait.
What?
What kind of psychotic gibberish is this? Oh my god! I think I'd just rather sit here and be a slave now.
Did I win or did I? He's saying I lost, but your noise was not good enough.
You get to live because your noise wasn't good enough. You lost. Thanks for playing.
I think my favorite death in Fallout, okay, maybe not favorite, hilarious, was when we terrified, I think it was Bruce, and Raoul just shot him. And yes, okay, the scientific part of my brain understands that it was a video game mechanic, that it triggered the fear response, and AI reacted accordingly. But that's the boring explanation.
And the fun explanation is, damn, you had a beef with him? I was just fucking with him. What the hell? I didn't like the way he sang back in the arena. Okay.
Because I remember you. I remember you reacting to that. Because it was like, no, I want you to suffer. No, please. Yeah. What the hell?
I was just fucking with him, Raul. Why?
Oops, sorry, boss. I think I have an itchy trigger finger. Yeah. Me too. So yes, they're fun. Although nothing in Fallout 4 or any of the Fallout games has compared to ramming all of your opponents out of the sky and then or all of your friends out of the sky and then getting more friends.
You kind of need them after they all crash and burn from the clouds smacking into the ground.
Damn it! Don't do it again. You lost another crew.
I need more Timmys.
or the game or the truck building game where you had a cheat code and you could hit your assistant with a wrench. It was a very tedious game, and we figured out the cheat code, and the adults went out of the room. Bam, 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 bam.
Get back to fucking work. You suck.
Fuck you, teamwork.
Fucking teamwork. Goddamn.
I don't even need to mention Roller Coaster Tycoon. You already know the fun that could be had.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I still love my favorite. You're in competition with the neighboring park. So I lower my prices and have one roller coaster. This roller coaster goes up through loop-de-loop, up again, down, shoots off a ramp into the next park, off the rails. Everyone dies. But you see, the genius of this is I win. Because no one has died in my park. I just have minimal interest. I only get like 100 people a day. His fucking profit margin went well into like negative numbers because everyone that was launched from my park into his died in his park, so he got the bad press.
Yes, exactly. Meanwhile, he's going, but
I'm not even doing this. Why are you abandoning me? Another 12 fatalities in Silly Sam's Park. No, it's not my fault.
Meanwhile, you're just going.
Oh, well, I'm winning this competition. I may only come out like $10 in profits after everything's said and done, but I win because you're well into the red paying all those funeral fees and fucking court costs and, trying to combat the bad press and needing to raise your prices astronomically to cover all these fees and driving more people away because now it's 1,000,000 times more expensive. Meanwhile, I only charge $10 to enter my park and you got a free roller coaster that kills you, but it's a free roller coaster.
That is insane logic. But I still like help me Blaze, I'm crashing. He was the one that was ramming you out of the sky. I mean, yes. So we do a lot of evil things in video games.
Yeah.
I do a lot of good things in video games too, if I feel like it.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta save the world because it was fun.
I know I've done a lot of. I hate doing good things in video. Yeah, no, in Fallout, my natural inclination is to be evil, but that's just the way Fallout. I've done good things in video games. I actually stopped the disease from spreading or things like that. It all depends on the game.
I've helped people because I liked them, and then destroyed people's lives because I hated them. And there was those couple people whose lives I totally built up to make the most awesome thing ever before pulling the rug out from underneath them and completely crashing their entire reality down around them, breaking their souls as human beings. Oh, from such heights did they fall.
I helped the goddess find the golden banana of discord. Unfortunately, the goddess was pissed at another god, so she instructed me to sodomize the god. And so I did. I got put on trial and turned into a fertility god pumpkin. for 2,000 years. And then Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin got me to arise.
And you sought vengeance, for you were molested countless times as a pumpkin.
Well, yeah. See, the guy who the goddess wanted me to, penetrate, he had 1,000 penises.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Yes, I was molested countless times as a pumpkin. If you don't know what we're talking about...
Good.
How many quotes have I showed you from that game?
That's just fucked up.
Just,
yeah, that makes complete sense.
yeah.
And now you seek vengeance, now that you finally have a cult again.
Even though technically it felt good. Still,
Yes.
it, pissed me off. And he's going to be back, by the way. He is going to be back, and he wants some violence.
Yay,
and
violence
sex.
and sex.
That's all I got for today, folks.
That's all I got, too.
So, this has been the Swine Brothers Show, episode 181. You can email us at cosmicgodsdie@gmail.com. Facebook is Swine Brothers. And if you like what you heard, like us, comment, and share. And please subscribe.
Yeah, share the fuck out of it. We suck at promoting.
I'd comment. I'd like to hear these stories.
Yes.
If you have any stories of your misspent youth that you'd like us to read, send them to us.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll even pretend that we were you.
Yeah. We'll do some good stuff. Anyway, for the Jim, the Pumpkin, I am Ellie. We'll see you next time.
Just never take 6 razor blades up the ass.
Your score has just gone up by 1,000 points.
Woohoo! 1,000!